the zombie emperor in American comics. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 376, A Gamble You Know You Will Lose. Isn't it hard to imagine? Even Pangu couldn't have imagined that the tomb keeper and inspector they sent to the human world would actually fall in love with Nuwa. Not only would he abandon his duties, but he would actually become her most loyal guard. Haha, Wang Yunxiao chuckled with a touch of mischievous amusement. But, are the things in Pangu's tomb really that powerful? Mary expressed a hint of disbelief. No one could feel Jiang Chen's power more clearly than she did, which made her doubtful. Could a mere inanimate object possibly be able to deal with Jiang Chen? Clearly, she had misunderstood Wang Yunxiao's intention. The power within Pangu's tomb isn't enough to deal with Jiang Chen, but it's more than enough to deal with Nuwa. Wang Yunxiao, understanding Mary's meaning, explained with a smile. What do you mean? This only made Mary even more confused. The Pangu clan is the most powerful of gods. The power within Pangu's tomb naturally restrains Nuwa. But it no longer has this restraining effect on Pangu clan members. In fact, the power within Pangu's tomb was originally intended for Jiang Chen, so why would Jiang Chen fear it? Wang Yunxiao had no choice but to explain further. Brother Yunxiao, after all this talk, you still haven't told us what's in Pangu's tomb, Emma demanded impatiently. Pangu bow. Pangu arrow. Wang Yunxiao spoke the two names word by word, his eyes gleaming with a strange brilliance. Frankly, Wang Yunxiao was truly coveting the Pangu bow and Pangu arrow. Just think about it, the power to destroy a meteorite with a single strike is worthy of being called destructive. However, according to the original plot, not only is there only one Pangu arrow, but it was destroyed by Jiang Chen long ago. Without the Pangu arrow, the Pangu bow's power would undoubtedly be greatly reduced. Of course, Wang Yunxiao had a way to obtain the Pangu arrow beforehand, but that would inevitably lead to a confrontation with Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen would never allow something that threatened Nuwa's life to exist, an outcome he didn't want to see. Not to mention that Ami began to prey on humans to help El Nino build strength in preparation for the attack on Pangu's tomb, nor did Ma Dingdang, seeking to reunite with Ma Xiaoling, Kuang Xian'ao, and Xiaomi, proactively meet the remnant of Madonna's spirit. During this time, an interesting incident also occurred, worthy of mention. Bai Hu finally discovered that Zhu Yongfu, the man she had so longed to spend her life with, was actually trying to kill her to defraud her insurance and was colluding with insurance salesman Jojo. It turned out that this wasn't Zhu Yongfu's first time doing this. His ex-wife, Mary's biological mother, had been murdered in this way. Now, Zhu Yongfu is at it again, lacing the vitamins he bought for Bai Hu with poison. Unexpectedly, White Fox, out of filial piety, gave the vitamins to Zhu Yongfu's mother. Naturally, Zhu Yongfu reaped the consequences, killing his own mother. This, in turn, made White Fox realize the true nature of the man she loved. Enraged, she reverted to her true nature. Undoubtedly, the revived White Fox is terrifying. Just look at Zhu Yongfu and Jojo. Under her instigation, they easily descended into tragic fratricide. Furthermore, White Fox discovered Wang Zi's involvement in the entire situation. More precisely, Wang Zi orchestrated it all. Wang Zi, one of the 5 color envoys, was created by Nuwa thousands of years ago, extracting the 5 vices of humanity: power, jealousy, resentment, confusion, and infatuation. He now plays Kuang Xian'ao's former colleague, Sunny, a jealous man deeply in love with White Fox. By this point, all 5 of Nuwa's 5 colored messengers had appeared. Meanwhile, on January 6, 2001, in the apocalyptic spacetime, food was scarce and the air was thinning, bringing Ma Xiaoling's death to a close. Both Ma Xiaoling, the woman involved, and Kuang Xian'ao, who remained by her side, were acutely aware of this. While Ma Xiaoling didn't want to leave behind a completely mad Kuang Xian'ao after her death, she couldn't bear to kill him prematurely. Ultimately, she could only plead with Kuang Xian'ao, "Don't bite her." Unfortunately, Kuang Xian'ao wouldn't agree. As Wang Zhansheng had said to him, "Don't bite me if you don't love me," He was certain he was in love with Ma Xiaoling and would definitely bite her. Ma Xiaoling was speechless at Guang Xian'ao's feelings, her emotions becoming extremely complex, joy and sweetness, yet at the same time, she didn't want to actually become a zombie. Just as Ma Xiaoling truly reached the end of her life, and Guang Xian'ao inched his sharp zombie fangs towards her neck, Zheng Chen, far away in the mortal world, suddenly conceded defeat and ordered the White Fox to bring Ma Xiaoling and Guang Xian'ao back to the living world. It turned out that this first bet was all about whether Guang Xian'ao would bite Ma Xiaoling at the last moment. But from the outset, Zheng Chen hadn't considered winning this first bet. Knowing Guang Xian'ao well, he had already guessed that he would bite Ma Xiaoling. He insisted on making this bet with Nuwa because, as much as he wanted to win, he didn't want to see her unhappy after losing. Sometimes losing isn't always a bad outcome. Moreover, this was only the first bet. If Zheng Chen had wanted to, he could easily have won the next two. Nuwa naturally understood Zheng Chen's intentions, but being so proud, she found it difficult to accept them at first, and therefore did not immediately allow the White Fox to bring Ma Xiaoling and Guang Xian'ao back to the mortal world. Fortunately, at the last moment, Madonna appeared and brought Ma Xiaoling, Guang Xian'ao, and Xiaomi back to the mortal world. Madonna's timely arrival was only possible because of a drop of Ma Dingdang's blood. The exorcist dragon clan's continued existence in the world must have its hidden weapon. For example, in this case, the descendants of the Ma family are connected by blood, their blood able to reach the heavens and earth, transcending the barriers of time and space to pursue their loved ones. Although Ma Xiaoling was rescued in time, her condition was far from perfect. Wang Yunxiao was even surprised to discover that, unlike the original storyline, current medical technology alone couldn't cure her. Thanks to Wang Yunxiao's meticulous preparations for each of his interdimensional journeys, things like Charles's super life fluid were essential, and now it was perfectly put to use. The super life fluid was incredibly effective, and with it, Ma Xiaoling quickly recovered. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 377 Panguero. As the saying goes, one wave has not yet subsided, another wave arises. Ma Xiaoling, Guang Xian'ao, and Xiaomi had just been rescued and returned to the living world when El Niño, with the help of Dami, had already consumed enough blood and amassed the strength to open Pangu's tomb. Just then, Jin Weilei finally arrived. She hadn't given up on searching for El Niño. However, by then, Jin Weilei had learned of El Niño's mission from Ma Dingdang. While she might still be unconvinced by the fact that El Niño had been sucking human blood, she decided to trust him once more. In fact, it wasn't just Jin Weilei who was missing out on such a significant event as the opening of Pangu's tomb. Wang Yunxiao, along with Ada Wang, Mary, and Emma, had already been waiting to see what was happening. El Niño's hands formed one mysterious hand seal after another, and the world shifted dramatically as Pangu's tomb finally opened. At the same moment, Nuwa, far away in Tongshan Tower, sensed the imminent opening of Pangu's tomb. Without hesitation, she issued the order, Lan Dali, along with Su Fu and the Crow, to kill El Niño and prevent the opening of Pangu's tomb. Lan Dali and his two companions dared not disobey and immediately confronted El Niño. Jin Weilei and Dami fought hard, but the disparity in strength was too great, and they were unable to stop Su Fu and the Crow. In desperation, Jin Weilei sent Dami to find Ma Dingdang and the others, while she remained to stop Lan Dali and the other two and protect El Niño. Fortunately, El Niño was protected by a barrier while opening Pangu's tomb. Not only Su Fu and the Crow, but even Lan Dali was unable to break it. So, Lan Dali devised a ruthless plan, using Jin Weilei to threaten El Niño and force him to stop. Initially, despite Jin Weilei's insistence, El Niño continued to open Pangu's tomb. But soon, witnessing Lan Dali's killing of Jin Weilei, El Niño's heart was completely broken, and he could no longer maintain the Pangu tomb open. This also meant that the power of the barrier protecting him also disappeared. Seeing El Niño being beaten by Su Fu and the Crow, Jin Weilei miraculously revived, forced the two to retreat with a single blow, and quickly fled with El Niño. Zhang Chen always said that the true power of zombies comes from love, and maternal love is naturally a form of love, the greatest love in the world. Of course, Wang Yunxiao dismissed this, as he and Zhang Chen had long since diverged, but now it seemed that this was true for Jin Weilei. It must be said that Jin Weilei and El Niño hid well. Not only were Lan Dali and the other two unable to find them, But even Ma Dingdang and Sita Fenren, who rushed to rescue them, were unable to find them. As night fell and the moon hung high in the sky, El Niño, encouraged by Jin Wulei, decided to try again to open the Pangu tomb. But he didn't know that Jin Wulei was already dead. It was only because of her obsession, her immense maternal love for El Niño, that she remained in the mortal realm. The opening of Pangu's tomb quickly attracted Su Fu and the crow. Jin Wulei, facing both alone, held her own. She even utterly defeated the crow. As for Landali, he naturally stopped Ma Dingdang, Sita Fenren, and the others, preventing them from aiding El Niño and Jin Wulei. Amazing. How is this possible? In the alternate dimension, Emma stared in disbelief at the awe-inspiring Jin Wulei. She couldn't imagine how Jin Wulei could become so powerful even after death. It's all just illusions. How long can a power that doesn't belong to you last? Wang Yunxiao dismissed this. Before Wang Yunxiao could finish his words, Zhang Chen arrived. With the opening of Pangu's tomb, Nuwa sensed the unmistakable murderous intent, and Zhang Chen, unable to resist, struck. Facing Zhang Chen, Jin Wulei fought tooth and nail, but couldn't harm him. Finally, under his blow, even the last vestiges of his resolve vanished. Meanwhile, El Niño successfully retrieved the Pangu arrow from Pangu's tomb, but before it could truly reach his grasp, Zhang Chen snatched it away. Furthermore, from Zhang Chen, El Niño learned the cruel truth: his mother, Jin Wulei, was dead. Holding Jin Wulei's body, El Niño was heartbroken, vowing to seek revenge against Zhang Chen. However, Zhang Chen showed no concern, destroying the Pangu arrow right in front of El Niño's eyes before vanishing. However, before departing, Zhang Chen subtly glanced in the direction of the alternate dimension where Wang Yunxiao and the others were, clearly aware of their presence from the very beginning. Honestly, the moment the Pangu arrow materialized, Wang Yunxiao nearly rushed to snatch it, but Zhang Chen was a step ahead, forcing him to hold back. Ultimately, he could only watch helplessly as Zhang Chen destroyed the Pangu arrow. Let's go back. There's nothing more to see. Sigh. Seeing such a treasure as the Pangu arrow destroyed right before his eyes left Wang Yunxiao feeling rather disillusioned, and naturally, he had no desire to continue watching. Furthermore, the show was almost over, with Ma Dingdang, Sita Fenren, and the others already arriving. Wang Yunxiao knew that Jin Wulei's death was only the beginning. Soon, more would follow. She just didn't know who would be next. Upon returning to Tongshan Tower, Zhang Chen witnessed a distraught Nuwa, unreasonably angry at Hongqiao. This left him speechless, yet also quite relieved. In any case, this foreshadowed Nuwa's growing humanity. Unfortunately, after his argument with Nuwa, Zhang Chen's laughter quickly faded. Nuwa insisted on completing the remaining 2 bets with him. Furthermore, Nuwa vowed that no matter the outcome of the second bet, she would win the third, because it was Zhang Chen who had made the bet. After Zhang Chen's repeated questioning, Nuwa finally revealed the truth. Her third bet with Zhang Chen was to see if Guangshan'ao, Ma Zialing, and the others could destroy her soul. If so, how could Zhang Chen possibly win? Furthermore, Nuwa revealed a harsh reality. Even Nuwa herself could not prevent the apocalypse on January 2, 2001. It turned out that, even when she exiled herself to the 9 heavens, she had resolved that if she didn't destroy the world, then she deserved death, leaving no room for negotiation. This means that the only way to prevent Nuwa from destroying the world now is to destroy Nuwa's soul, so that her body will be exiled to the void forever. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378 No Choice. Upon hearing this harsh reality, Zhang Chen's heartbreak is palpable. Nuwa has cornered him, seemingly leaving him with no choice from the start. Meanwhile, Ma Zialing, Guangshan'ao, and the others are determined to find Zhang Chen and kill him. Not only to avenge Jin Wulei, but also to prevent Nuwa's demise. Furthermore, Ma Dingdang has learned from the White Fox how to enter the Tower of Babel. However, they don't have just one chance. To this end, Ma Zialing and Guangshan'ao even seek out Dami and Xiaomi, hoping to enlist their help in gathering the power of the Dragon Balls and summoning a complete dragon, hoping to destroy Zhang Chen once and for all. However, to their bewilderment, Ma Dingdan coldly refuses to join them in the fight against Jiang Chen, at least on the surface. While Ma Zialing, Huang Xianyao, and the others were oblivious, Ma Dingdang secretly donned her pristine white wedding gown. She said that every generation of Ma family women longed for the day they could actually wear a wedding gown, but the reality was that the dragon battle suit was the true home for all Ma women. Pa pa pa, at that moment, applause erupted. Why are you here? Ma Dingdang knew who it was without even turning around. Dingdang, I have to say, you look absolutely stunning in your wedding gown, Wang Yunxiao exclaimed with genuine admiration. Really? Ma Dingdan turned around, showcasing her stunning wedding gown. Of course. If he could see this side of you, maybe he'd change his mind. Wang Yunxiao nodded earnestly at first, but then her mischievousness took over. If there's nothing else, you can leave. I have a lot of things to do. Ma Dingdang rolled her eyes and unceremoniously ordered them to leave. How heartless, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, but showed no sign of leaving. It's fair to say he's incredibly shameless. An unspeakable silence followed. Wang Yunxiao knew what Ma Dingdang was planning and the consequences, but he wasn't sure whether to persuade her. Or perhaps, he still hadn't made up his mind to save one of his few friends. Ma Dingdang. Don't try to persuade me. You know, this is my choice, and it might even be a relief. Ma Dingdang, sensing Wang Yunxiao's hesitation, gave her decision. If that's your decision, Wang Yunxiao sighed softly and turned away silently. For the sake of our friendship, I hope you can promise me that, if possible, you'll help me save Xia Erling and the others. Seeing Wang Yunxiao about to leave, Ma Dingdang suddenly spoke again. There was no response. Wang Yunxiao had already left. It was unclear if he had heard Ma Dingdang's final request. Besides Wang Yunxiao, there was another person who had noticed something strange about Ma Dingdang, Sita Fenren. It was undeniable that Ma Dingdang and Sita Fenren were quite compatible in many ways. More importantly, they share one crucial similarity: they both fell in love with someone who didn't love them back. It's a fate. They met at the wrong time, destined to be apart in this life. Sita Fenren met Ma Dingdang, but made no attempt to persuade her. He simply shared a couple of drinks with her before quietly departing. However, before leaving, Ma Dingdang gave him her natal bracelet, hoping that someone who understood her would see her off after her death. Just as Ma Dingdang, donning her dragon armor once again, was about to leave the frigate bar, she was intercepted by Ma Zialing, Huang Xianyao, and others. It seemed Sita Fenren had betrayed her after all. With matters at hand, Ma Dingdang, along with Ma Zialing, Huang Xianyao, and the others, headed to Tsutenkoku to settle the matter with Jiang Chen. However, the group ultimately decided to leave El Niño and Quang Fushan behind. Even if their mission ultimately failed, it would still leave a spark of hope. Even He Yinki would only help them break the barrier surrounding Tsutenkoku, not join them in their charge into the tower. After learning how to break through the barrier, He Yinki easily opened a gap, allowing Ma Dingdang and his group to enter. However, unbeknownst to Ma Dingdang and his group, at the same time He Yinki broke through the barrier, Wang Yunxiao and Mary also caught a ride and entered the tower. Wang Yunxiao certainly wouldn't miss the grand event about to unfold. Furthermore, Wang Yunxiao had promised Ma Dingdang that he would do his best to save Ma Zialing, Huang Xianyao, and the others. However, considering that this trip might not just be a spectacle, but also a potential clash with Jiang Chen, Wang Yunxiao, for safety reasons, did not bring Ada Wang and Emma along. After all, Tsutenkoku was Jiang Chen's territory. Ma Dingdang and his group had just entered Tsutenkoku when they were spotted by Jiang Chen, who dispatched the elevator directly to the rooftop. In fact, not only Jiang Chen, but also Landali and the others had immediately spotted Ma Dingdang and his group's intrusion. If it weren't for Landali and the others' own agenda, they would have hardly even seen Jiang Chen. On the rooftop of Tsutenkoku, even the combined strength of Ma Dingdang, Ma Zialing, Huang Xianyao, Dummy, and Xiaomi would have been unable to defeat Jiang Chen. In a relatively intense clash, the five were quickly knocked to the ground by Jiang Chen, and in the process, they didn't even damage Jiang Chen's clothes. You can't beat me. Just go and enjoy the rest of your days. Jiang Chen hadn't yet been provoked to his full fury. Even for Ma Dingdang's sake, he still wanted to spare the five men's lives. What do you mean? Jiang Chen, what do you mean? Ma Dingdang, clearly sensing something amiss in Jiang Chen's words and sensing his unusual state, demanded. There's no choice. I don't know what to choose. Ding dang, consider this my return to you. There's only one answer, either you die or I do. Seeing the 5 men showed no sign of retreat, Jiang Chen's agony and struggle grew even more intense. At that moment, Madonna suddenly swooped in from behind, seizing Jiang Chen's moment of uncertainty and attacking him with a surprise attack that briefly froze him. Those approaching the battlefield, all must line up in formation. Slay the evil. Seizing this golden opportunity, Ma Dingdang, Ma Xiaoling, Dummy, and Xiaomi simultaneously summoned the dragon. Suddenly, 4 awe-inspiring dragons appeared out of thin air, encircling the general and devouring him, putting him in the most dangerous situation. Unfortunately, the 4 dragons weren't yet the fully formed world-purifying dragon, and the general was no longer the immature man he had been before. Today's 4th update is here. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 379 Ma Dingdang's Determination. Boom boom boom, amidst a violent explosion, Jiang Chen and the 4 dragons were reduced to dust, dissipating into thin air. Ma Dingdang, Ma Xiaoling, Quang Xianyao, Dummy, and Xiaomi all looked around warily, for they all sensed that Jiang Chen was not dead. Far from dead, Jiang Chen, upon reappearing, appeared virtually unharmed. At least, that was how it appeared. Swish, Jiang Chen's body swayed slightly, and he was already between Quang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling, his speed truly exceeding the limit. With lightning-fast thrusts, his hands grasped their wrists firmly, and he was then suspended uncontrollably in mid-air. From the expressions of Quang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling, it was clear they were enduring inhuman agony, their condition steadily worsening, and it was clear they couldn't hold out much longer. Let's stop here. At that moment, a sigh echoed from behind Jiang Chen. Are you finally going to join forces with them against me? After casually flinging Quang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling away, and knocking over Martin, Dummy, and Xiaomi who had come to their rescue, Jiang Chen slowly turned around, his gaze as cold as ice. Of course not. I'm just saving their lives today at someone's request, Wang Yunxiao shrugged. Though his tone was relaxed, his expression was unusually solemn. He had no confidence in facing Jiang Chen, and it was a losing battle. Fortunately, he had Mary by his side. Jiang Chen, how about we call it quits today? It's only a few weeks until January 2nd, 2001, far from your true showdown. Despite his outward confidence, Wang Yunxiao had to admit, the feeling of being protected by a woman was far from perfect. Jiang Chen's expression shifted several times, but he didn't make a decision immediately. Naturally, his concern wasn't whether to let Ma Dingdang and the others go. In his eyes, they posed little threat. His hesitation was whether to seize the opportunity to kill Wang Yunxiao and Mary. At that moment, he truly realized that Wang Yunxiao and Mary were his greatest threat, but he wasn't entirely sure he could kill them. You owed me 3 favors. Do you still want to keep them? At that moment, Ma Dingdang suddenly strode forward. Speak. Jiang Chen looked at Ma Dingdang expressionlessly. I want everyone out of here. No one can die, Ma Dingdang said gravely. She wasn't entirely sure either. Don't let me see you again. I'm afraid I might kill you. Giving Ma Dingdang another deep look, Jiang Chen's body suddenly shook. In a burst of golden light, everyone was flung out of the Tongshan Tower. It was unclear whether this was due to his promise to Ma Dingdang or his fear of Wang Yunxiao and Mary. Or perhaps a combination of both. Even Wang Yunxiao and Mary were no exception. Of course, they were simply going with the flow. For now, if they could avoid fighting Jiang Chen, it would be best not to. Whether it was the imminent arrival of Pantangu's Mingri or El Nino who had absorbed enough human blood to build up sufficient strength, they would need to conserve their energy and be cautious. How is it? He Yunxiao asked with concern as they were ejected from Tongshan Tower, noticing that it was already dusk and a bright moon hung in the sky. Where's Auntie? Ma Xiaoling immediately noticed that Ma Dingdang hadn't left Tongshan Tower with him. She stayed inside. Wang Yunxiao sighed. How could this be? Ma Xiaoling gasped in disbelief, her face horrified. Uncle Chu, take us back. Quang Xianyao acted decisively. Once the time is up, there's nothing I can do, He Yunxiao said anxiously. What about Xiaoling's blood? Can you forcefully break the barrier with Xiaoling's blood? Isn't that how you saved Xiaoling and me? Quang Xianyao had seen enough, and though anxious, he managed to maintain his composure. Ma Xiaoling spat out a drop of bright red blood without a word. Alright, I'll try again. He Yunxiao gritted his teeth and immediately began his magic. Wang Yunxiao and Mary watched silently, without reacting. Wang Yunxiao, in particular, knew their efforts were doomed to failure. Ma Dingdang, determined as he was, wouldn't he leave himself any room for retreat? The magic activated, but the barrier remained silent. Instead, He Yingqiu cried out in pain, stumbling backwards from the backlash. Uncle Chu, Kwang Xian'ia grasped He Yingqiu's arm, asking with concern. It's no use. Ma Dingdang has severed the blood connection. He Yingqiu shook his head in pain. He knew exactly what this meant. Mr. Wang, not only He Yingqiu, but everyone else understood what this meant. Ma Xiaoling quickly turned to Wang Yunxiao for help. This is Dingdang's choice. Wang Yunxiao didn't say whether he could break the barrier, but simply stated that he wouldn't go against Ma Dingdang's wishes. Then, without giving Ma Xiaoling a chance to speak, he teleported away with Mary. What happened? Was Jiang Chen defeated? Seeing Wang Yunxiao and Mary's safe return, Ada Wang and Emma breathed a sigh of relief, but Emma couldn't help but wonder. How could it be so easy? Mary pinched Emma's cheek in a grouchy tone and briefly recounted what had happened. Amazing. Jiang Chen is truly amazing, Emma couldn't help but exclaim in amazement after hearing Mary's story. Dingdang, Ada Wang, more concerned about Ma Dingdang's choice, hesitated. Let's go, let's see her off. Wang Yunxiao sighed softly, and led the three women out of the hotel. Wang Yunxiao had no desire to do anything about Ma Dingdang's choice, so he could only fulfill his duty as a good friend and send her off. Meanwhile, Ma Dingdang had quietly infiltrated the Tongshan Tower and found Jiang Chen and Nuwa. He had done so without anyone noticing. Ma Dingdang, true to her character, was indeed Ma Dingdang. However, the moment she revealed her murderous intent towards Nuwa, she exposed her whereabouts, rendering her fatal attack ineffective, easily deflected by Jiang Chen. For a moment, the atmosphere between the three of them grew particularly eerie, as they stared at each other in silence. Leave this to me. You go in first. Finally, it was Jiang Chen who broke the eerie atmosphere, telling Nuwa to leave. What was about to happen was predictable. He didn't want Nuwa to see. Dingdang, you shouldn't be here. Leave. Watching Nuwa leave, Jiang Chen made a final effort. Since I came in, I never thought of leaving. Ma Dingdang has made up his mind and there is no room for maneuver. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 380 Ma Dingdang's death. Don't push me anymore, Dingdang. You know, as long as I'm here, no one can harm Nuwa. Jiang Chen sighed, his expression filled with determination. Jiang Chen, I have friends and family too. As long as I'm here, no one can harm them, Ma Dingdang said with equal resolve. I've tried my best, Dingdang. I've tried my best to help you. Jiang Chen was truly conflicted and tormented, but he had no choice. Ultimately, the one he loved most in his heart was Nuwa. But you'll never succeed, because to stop Nuwa from destroying the world, you'll have to kill her. Can you do it? How could Ma Dingdang not understand at this moment the true way to prevent Nuwa's destruction? I beg you, don't come any closer. I will really kill you, Jiang Chen said painfully, sensing Ma Dingdang slowly approaching him. He truly didn't want to take that final step. I didn't stop you from killing me, but please don't stop me from killing her. We both have our own choices, but Ma Dingdang didn't stop. Things had come to a head, and she couldn't stop. Dang, Jiang Chen, overcome with agony, pressed down a piano key. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately, explosions echoed from Ma Dingdang's body. The immense force sent her reeling, until she slammed against the door, falling to one knee, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. Stop! Almost instantly, Nuwa burst out from the inner room, attempting to stop Jiang Chen, but alas, she was too late. The three of them stared at each other in silence, the atmosphere in the room turning mournful and eerie. Jiang Chen, tell me something, tell me you never loved me. I don't want to die at the hands of the man I love. I don't want my heart to ache even after I die. Tell me. Ma Dingdang was heartbroken. Although she had known this outcome, the reality of it still left her devastated. Jiang Chen remained silent, unsure how to respond to Ma Dingdang. So do you still love him? He doesn't want to kill a woman who loves him. Don't push him, Ma Dingdang. Nuwa, feeling a pang of pity, couldn't help but offer her advice. I don't love him. I don't love him, Ma Dingdang cried out, her words defiantly betrayed. Holding the exorcist's wand, she recklessly rushed towards Nuwa. Dang, Jiang Chen's 10 fingers pressed down hard on the piano keys. Bang, bang, bang. This time, the explosion, directly impacting her, was even more violent than before. Ma Dingding fell face down, lifeless. Witnessing this scene, Nuwa couldn't help but slump onto the sofa. In that moment, she felt like an ordinary woman, no longer living up to the majesty of Mother Earth. Ha ha ha. It's just you and me. It's just you and me in this world, Zheng Chen laughed manically, staggering to Nuwa's side. He knelt before her, burying his head in her arms. Words couldn't express the agony he felt at that moment. Ding dang, you are worthy of being a descendant of our Ma family. Rest assured, I will pass on my final spiritual power to you. Never give up. Time ticked by, and Madonna's remnant suddenly appeared before Ma Dingding, risking her own demise in a final effort. Don't ask why Zheng Chen and Nuwa hadn't noticed Madonna's presence. As the heir of the Ma family, she naturally possessed a hidden weapon. Ma Dingding slowly opened her eyes, gripped the exorcist's rod tightly, stood up, and strode towards Zheng Chen and Nuwa. Each step she took was resolute. Zheng Chen, be careful. Zheng Chen's heart was in turmoil. Completely unaware of Ma Dingding's resurrection. Nuwa, however, had sensed the imminent danger and pushed Zheng Chen away, but she had already lost her chance to dodge. Puff, the exorcist's rod pierced Nuwa's chest deeply. Ma Dingding smiled in relief. No matter what, she had succeeded. Roar, Zheng Chen stared at the scene in disbelief, unable to help but manifest a form of a zombie king, sharp zombie fangs, blood-red pupils. He grabbed Ma Dingding's neck. Boom boom boom, a series of violent explosions echoed from the very top of the Tongshan Tower. If it weren't for the protective barrier, the entire Tongshan Tower would have ceased to exist. On the top floor of the Tongshan Tower, Zheng Chen embraced Ma Dingding and kissed her passionately. However, by this time, Ma Dingding had completely passed away. Wang Yunxiao, who had just left the hotel, sighed softly, his pace unconsciously quickening, heading towards a certain unknown direction. The three women exchanged a glance, all expressions of heavy sorrow, and followed Wang Yunxiao closely. Outside the Tongshan Tower, Ma Zialing, Guang Xianyao, and the others felt something, as if they saw a meteor streaking across the sky. At Sita Fenrin's house, the bracelet around his wrist suddenly tightened, and Sita Fenrin was immediately awakened from his sleep and rushed out of the house without a care in the world. Holding Ma Dingding's body, Zheng Chen walked aimlessly on the streets of Hong Kong Island, attracting frequent stares from passers-by, but he seemed unaware. Zheng Chen, at a street corner, everyone met unexpectedly. There was Zheng Chen holding Ma Dingding's body, Wang Yunxiao and his four companions, Guang Xianyao and Ma Zialing's group, and Sita Fenrin who had hurried over. Zheng Chen finally woke up from his grief, raised his hand, and sent Ma Dingding's body into the distant bright moon, completely merging with the bright moon. Everyone was silent, bidding Ma Dingding a final farewell. Dingding, I have done everything I could for you, rest in peace, Zheng Chen whispered softly, but the sadness on his face gradually disappeared. Guang Xianyao, from this moment on, I want you to be my true enemy. Immediately, Zheng Chen's face was reduced to a cold, icy silence, devoid of emotion and filled with a disregard for life. This was the true zombie king Zheng Chen. With Ma Dingding's death at his hands, he had abandoned all undue emotion. Turning abruptly to leave, Zheng Chen gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look, his eyes filled with undisguised coldness and murderous intent. This made Wang Yunxiao realize that the peaceful relationship between him and Zheng Chen would be shattered from this moment on, and the next time they met, it would likely be a battle. Throughout, Guang Xianyao remained silent, even holding back Ma Zialing as she attempted to avenge Ma Dingding. They both knew they had to remain useful for a future time. As for Sita Fenrin, he silently turned and left. Of course, he would not be indifferent to Ma Dingding's death, but he would choose a way that no one had expected. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 381 Mollinger wakes up. Talking into a tape recorder is a bit strange, like a mad woman. I'll just pretend that every one of you can hear me. What's going on is this: I need to go out for a while. I have a debt to collect and a debt to pay back to someone, so it might take a while for me to come back. If you see me coming back from the door, just turn off the phone immediately, okay? But if you wait for a long time and don't see me come back, I may never come back again, so just keep listening. First of all, I want to settle accounts with you. Listen carefully. Xianyao owes me 5,800 yuan for drinks, Xiaoling 1,200 yuan, and Fushan 200 yuan. Xiaomi and Xiaoling had a fight the other day and broke my things and they haven't paid for them yet, a total of 2,800 yuan. As for Wang Yunxiao, forget it, let's not talk about it. Well, I don't want the money, but I hope you can do something for me, just consider it as a debt of gratitude. Xianao, Xiaoling, I actually want you to know about your past lives because I want you to understand that some things are unavoidable, but that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything. You should be more proactive in facing them. Remember, trust your feelings, don't believe in fate. Xiaomi, I know you don't like to listen to me, but I really hope you can play and laugh happily with everyone. Dummy, you have to help Xiaomi. After all, you are two sisters. Forget Bar will be left to you and Nino. Fu Sheng, remember, you must help Fenren. He is still just a little kid. Nino, Ding Dang Auntie really wants to tell you something. If you want to cry, just cry. You are only a few months old. Crying is only for children. Don't hold it in, because it is really hard to hold back. If you don't understand, ask Xiaoling. Finally, I want to remind you, don't trust my old friend Wang Yunxiao. To some extent, he is the same type of person as Jiang Chen, and even more terrifying than Jiang Chen. No one can understand his true intentions, and often such people are the most terrifying. The above is the last words left by Ma Dingdang in advance. At this moment, everyone gathered in the frigate bar, silently listening to Ma Dingdang's last instructions in this world. Fortunately, Wang Yunxiao did not come with him, otherwise it would be so embarrassing when he heard Ma Dingdang's last words. However, this is not surprising. With the death of Ma Dingdang, Wang Yunxiao's contact with Ma Xiaoling, Kuang Xianao and others has been completely severed. Just as Ma Dingdang said in his last words, they are no longer in the same camp. Even if they really become enemies one day, there is no need to be surprised. At the very least, the day Wang Yunxiao would take El Nino's life was drawing ever closer. Ma Dingdang's death and Madonna's shattered soul had left Ma Xiaoling heartbroken, unable to suppress her tears. Furthermore, Jin Zhang's sudden reappearance after a long absence, having been turned into a zombie by Sita Fenren, and returning to kill Ma Xiaoling, only served to bring Ma Xiaoling to tears. And it was Sita Fenren who had turned Jin Zhang into a zombie. He was well aware of the vast disparity between him and Jiang Chen, and to gain the strength for revenge, he was willing to sacrifice himself, hoping to stay by Jiang Chen's side, drive himself completely insane, and thereby gain the power of madness, just as Wang Zhansheng had died before his eyes. And this was the bizarre method he chose. Jiang Chen, of course, saw through Sita Fenren's true intentions, but he didn't care. Deep down, he even harbored a glimmer of hope, hoping Sita Fenren would succeed, just as he was now using whatever means necessary to force Kuang Xianao. And Jin Zhang was Jiang Chen's first move. Whether it was against Sita Fenren or Kuang Xianao, it was only the beginning. Watching Jin Zhang bite uncontrollably, not only was Ma Xiaoling, his master, heartbroken, but Jin Zhang himself was also struggling bitterly. Unfortunately, he couldn't resist Jiang Chen's blood seal. Even Ma Xiaoling's last resort, the ice sealing talisman, was ineffective. The blood seal was a vicious curse cast by Jiang Chen using his own blood essence. Anyone afflicted by it could not disobey his orders, whether it was Sita Fenren and Jin Zhang, or Landali, Bai Hu, Wangzi, or Su Fu. Resistance would not only bring unbearable pain but also threaten their lives. So far, only Hong Chao has forcibly seized control of the blood seal, but the price she paid was her life. In desperation, Ma Xiaoling summoned the dragon to personally slay Jin Zhang. But the consequences were foreseeable. To avoid losing her magical powers completely due to the Ma family's tearless curse, Ma Xiaoling had to ask Kuang Xianao to use the forgetfulness spell within the amnesia stick to erase her past memories. This way, she would no longer shed tears of grief. However, what neither Ma Xiaoling nor Kuang Xianao anticipated was that Ma Xiaoling's memory loss would allow the resentful spirit of Ma Linger, the reincarnated Ma Linger, dormant within her body, to take over. As a result, Kuang Xianao, the reincarnation of Kuang Zhongtang, would be the unfortunate one. Perhaps, the zombie Kuang Fusheng and the cat demon sisters Demi and Xiaomi would also be implicated. Perhaps only He Yinqiu could foresee such an event. But before he could warn Kuang Xianao, he was brutally murdered by Jiang Chen. Indeed, killing He Yinqiu right in front of Kuang Xianao was Jiang Chen's second step in forcing Kuang Xianao further. Although Huang Xianyao had been warned by Jiang Chen, he was powerless to stop him and could only watch He Yingqiu's tragic death before his eyes. But before dying, He Yingqiu informed Huang Xianyao that Ma Linger's resentment might possess Ma Xiaoling's body. However, Huang Xianyao was completely oblivious to this, as Jiang Chen had again warned Huang Xianyao that his next target would be Huang Fuxian. A frantic Huang Xianyao rushed back to Xiaomi's house. Fortunately, Jiang Chen hadn't yet attacked Huang Fuxian. But this left him no chance for relief, as Ma Linger's resentment had already taken over Ma Xiaoling's body, violently attacking Huang Fuxian and Xiaomi, injuring Huang Fuxian. Faced with Ma Linger's determination to kill him, Huang Xianyao was helpless and could only flee with Huang Fuxian and Xiaomi. He couldn't really fight Ma Linger, could he? All of this, however, fell into Jiang Chen's sight without revealing a single detail, which was why Jiang Chen didn't kill Huang Fuxian. In fact, he had already found this place long before Huang Xianyao arrived. However, he felt that this might force Huang Xianyao into a desperate situation. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 382 coming tomorrow. Ever since Nuwa was stabbed by Ma Dingdang, her spirit has been in a prolonged coma. To swiftly awaken Nuwa's spirit, the general ordered Sita Fenrin, Lan Dali, and Wang Zi to slaughter humanity, plundering their vital energy to replenish Nuwa's spirit. Furthermore, the general instructed Sita Fenrin and his men to seize control of the television station and issue a warning to the entire population of Hong Kong Island. If they could capture Huang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling, they would be spared. This served as a further pressure on Huang Xianyao. Chaos reigned supreme throughout Hong Kong. In times of chaos, there's always a shortage of madmen, and naturally, they became accomplices to Sita Fenrin and his men. No one could escape Hong Kong Island, as the general had ordered the White Fox to impose a lockdown, forbidding entry or exit. Consequently, Huang Xianyao and his men were forced to hide and monitor Ma Linger's movements, fearing she might encounter any unforeseen danger. The attention of Huang Xianyao and his companions proved crucial. It was only after they learned from a live television broadcast that Ma Linger was being attacked by a horde of frenzied humans on the streets of Hong Kong Island that they were able to rush to her aid. However, to Huang Xianyao and his companions' dismay, Ma Linger seemed unimpressed by their efforts, still intent on subduing all of these zombies and monsters. Indeed, there wasn't a single normal person among them, 3 zombies and 2 cat monsters. Therefore, Huang Xianyao revealed to Ma Linger that within Ma Xiaoling's Lingling Hall were notes written by her from the pre-Qin period, hoping that upon seeing them, she would temporarily put aside past grudges and join them in the fight against Jiang Chen and Nuwa, preventing Nuwa's destruction. Huang Xianyao and Ma Linger rushed to the Lingling Hall, only to discover it had been thoroughly ransacked and the notes missing. Just as Huang Xianyao and Ma Linger were about to engage in another argument, Black Feather suddenly appeared, accompanied by a red tide. Crucially, Huang Xianyao was astonished to discover that Hong Chao bore an uncanny resemblance to his late wife, Xiu. When he revealed that Hong Chao had been waiting for Huang Xianyao to fulfill Xiu's dream, even forcing herself to break free from the general's blood seal and now facing imminent death, Huang Xianyao was torn. He didn't know whether to resolve his dispute with Ma Linger first or listen to Hong Chao's account of Xiu's dream. Meanwhile, a live television broadcast showed Su Fu slaughtering humans, only to be stopped by Huang Xianyao was forced to make a choice and temporarily leave, whether to confirm the truth of the incident with Ma Linger or to rescue Kong. However, he assured Hong Chao that he would return soon. If there was one person Su Fu feared most in this world, it would undoubtedly be Ma Linger. After recognizing Ma Linger's identity, Su Fu no longer dared to confront Ma Linger and Huang Xianyao head-on. He attempted to use the lives of ordinary people to force Huang Xianyao to kill Ma Linger once again. Before Huang Xianyao could even begin to hesitate, Hong Zhao, who had arrived with He Yu's help, made his decision for him. Despite her dire condition, she cast a spell to save the ordinary people Su Fu had threatened. Ma Linger seized the opportunity to summon a dragon and slay Su Fu in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, before his death, Su Fu maliciously withheld the truth of what had happened, hoping to perpetuate Ma Linger's hatred for Huang Xianyao, the reincarnation of Huang's Hongtang. His forced attack also brought Hong Zhao to his death. Only after He Yu's prompting did Huang Xianyao hurriedly take Hong Zhao to the seaside, allowing her to fulfill Xiu's dream and confess to Huang Xianyao that she had never regretted falling in love with him. Deeply moved, Wang Yunxiao confessed to Yunxiao that, in his mind, she was a Xiu, leaving her with a smile on her face. This touching scene also softened Ma Ling's impression of Wang Yunxiao, easing her previous desire to kill him. Meanwhile, Sita Fenren was forced to face a painful decision. Wang Zi, under the guise of a general, forced him to kill his own student, Mary. Although Sita Fenren was prepared to feed the demon, and would ruthlessly kill anyone, his student was not one of them. This was because she was not only his student, but also the student of the late Wang Zhenhun, their only remaining connection, now separated by the yin and yang. At this critical moment, El Niño arrived and distracted Wang Zi, while Quang Fushan intervened to persuade Sita Fenren to repent. What El Niño hadn't anticipated was that, while trying to distract Wang Zi, a surprising event occurred. Filong, whom he had long since driven away, suddenly appeared to aid him in combating Wang Zi, who had transformed into a giant python. The battle between Filong and the python was truly spectacular. Unfortunately, the outcome was mutually devastating, a fact that deeply regretted by Wang Yunxiao, who had been watching from the sidelines. However, his attention was no longer focused on Filong, for he knew someone would soon descend upon this world. While Sita Fenren was secretly relieved that Wang Zi had been distracted by El Niño, he wasn't ready to give up and was determined to return to Jiangchen to continue his plan. Quang Fushan, clearly not one to give up, continued his earnest pleadings with Sita Fenren. Suddenly, a mysterious woman appeared and dissuaded him. What did this woman say? It gave Quang Fushan, as well as El Niño and the others who had returned later, a strange feeling, a striking resemblance to the one they had felt when facing Jiangchen. Here she comes. As soon as this mysterious woman appeared, Wang Yunxiao's eyes immediately fell on her, unable to move away. Is that her? Emma asked curiously. Yes, she's the messenger sent by the Pangu clan to help the demon star destroy Nuwa. Wang Yunxiao nodded slightly, his eyes glittering with an inexplicable glint. So, this mysterious woman is Mingri. The one Wang Yunxiao had waited so long for, the one who would help Ada Wang complete her transformation. Shall we get started? Mary asked eagerly, almost impatient. Of course, to avoid further complications, let's not delay any longer. Wang Yunxiao readily agreed to Mary's suggestion. He didn't want to wait any longer. As for Mingri not having the chance to reveal the code to Pangu's tomb to El Niño or Xiaomi, that was no longer on Wang Yunxiao's mind. 4 updates for today are here. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 383 The War Begins. Forgive him. He's doing something he doesn't even know is right or wrong, Mingri said softly to Quang Fushan. Her voice was truly gentle, giving off an air of conviction. Fushan, who is she? Just then, El Niño, Dummy, and Xiaomi arrived. Xiaomi asked curiously. I don't know, but she's beautiful and kind-hearted, was the only answer Quang Fushan could offer, though it came from the heart. But the moment he saw Mingri, El Niño's expression changed noticeably, and he unconsciously approached Mingri. As they approached, El Niño and Mingri pressed their palms together. A brilliant light shone, and Nino's mind subconsciously recalled past events. Mingri took in every detail of them. Thank you for your hard work, Gravikeeper. Don't worry, the unhappy days will soon pass, Mingri counseled softly. Gravikeeper, El Niño asked, puzzled. Your duty is to open Pangu's tomb tomorrow night, when the moon is full, and retrieve the Pangu bow and arrows within. That way, your mission will be complete, Mingri explained softly. How do you know about Pangu's tomb? Who are you? Unexpectedly, this only fueled El Niño's doubts. Like you, I'm not human. Trust me, another overseer will naturally handle matters from now on. Mingri's response remained gentle and unhurried. What if the overseer you speak of doesn't come? I will not allow Nuwa to destroy the world. El Niño, however, was clearly not reassured by Mingri's words. Neither will I. My duty is to make the final clause of the Bible code true, Mingri said earnestly. Without further explanation, he turned and began to leave. Are you leaving just like that? Just then, Wang Yunxiao and Mary emerged from the alternate dimension, side by side, blocking Mingri's path. Mr. Wang, seeing Wang Yunxiao, El Niño, while pleasantly surprised, a flicker of alarm flashed across his eyes. Clearly, Ma Dingdang's regret still lingered in his mind. If I were you, I'd better explain everything first. Because if you don't speak now, you might not have another chance. Wang Yunxiao didn't even glance at El Niño, his gaze never leaving Mingri. Who are you? You don't belong in this world. Mingri clearly sensed the hostility from Wang Yunxiao and Mary. Though her voice remained gentle, it was also wary and cautious. Me? Someone who has been waiting for a Pangu like you to arrive. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, a captivating glint in her eyes. You actually knew. Hearing this, Mingri could no longer maintain her composure and stared at Wang Yunxiao in disbelief. Pangu. El Niño was already stunned by the conversation between Wang Yunxiao and Mingri, but he could clearly sense the tension between the three of them. Are you destiny, then? Mingri suddenly thought of something else, her words tinged with fear and something else. Unfortunately, she had misunderstood. What? You really aren't going to tell me everything? Believe me, if you don't tell me now, you won't have another chance. Wang Yunxiao didn't bother to explain Mingri's misunderstanding, offering only one last, kind reminder. Okay. Please wait. Mingri gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look, then placed a hand on El Niño's heart and transmitted the code to Pangu's tomb into his mind. Mr. Wang. By this point, El Niño was certain Mingri was a friend, not an enemy, and immediately tried to persuade Wang Yunxiao not to embarrass Mingri. Little bald head, this has nothing to do with you. And, cherish your last days. Wang Yunxiao indifferently interrupted El Niño's persuasion, leaving behind a cryptic remark before waving Mingri closer to the alternate dimension. To ensure absolute safety, Wang Yunxiao had no choice but to choose the alternate dimension as the battlefield. However, to prevent the alternate dimension from being breached by the aftermath of the battle, he couldn't personally capture Mingri. But it doesn't matter. I believe Mary can complete this task well. Nino, as Wang Yunxiao, Mary, and Mingri left, Kwang Fushan, Dummy, and Xiaomi immediately surrounded them. Just like Ding Dang Auntie said, Mr. Wang really has ulterior motives. We must tell Xian'ai about this as soon as possible, El Niño said solemnly. Also, this is the password to Pangu's tomb. You must all remember it, so that no one among us will encounter any accidents. After thinking for a moment, El Niño told Dami and Xiaomi the password to Pangu's tomb. Wang Yunxiao's last words made El Niño feel a sense of foreboding. In the other dimension, Wang Yunxiao stood with his hands folded. On the surface, he did not show any movement, but in fact, he had already pushed the spatial energy in his body to the extreme, doing his utmost to maintain the stability of the other dimension. Such powerful spatial abilities. Mr. Wang, huh? Perhaps I was mistaken before. With such immense power, you're not a pawn of fate. I don't know if you have some misunderstanding about our Pangu clan, but I don't think we have to be enemies. Feel free to tell us what you want. Mingri's personality was truly too gentle, or perhaps indecisiveness would be a more accurate description. Even at this point, he still dreamed of a peaceful resolution. What I want is the Pangu bloodline within you. Will you give it to me? Wang Yunxiao sneered. This was his alternate dimension, and he no longer needed to worry about others' prying eyes, so there was no need to hide his prowess. You? Mingri's body trembled slightly, staring at Wang Yunxiao in disbelief. She couldn't imagine that Wang Yunxiao's goal would be this. This also meant that there was no room for maneuver between them. Stop talking nonsense. If you don't want to give up the resistance, then take action. Roar. Mary was too tired to listen to Mingri's nonsense. With a roar, she immediately revealed her zombie form. Crackle. Simultaneously, a layer of thunder armor enveloped Mary's body, exuding a truly awe-inspiring divine power, like a female thunder god. Roar. Having no other choice, Mingri also revealed her Pangu combat form. Superficially, Mingri's Pangu combat form didn't differ much from Mary's zombie form, but to Wang Yunxiao and Mary, she possessed no resentment or foul aura, but rather a divine radiance, warmth, vastness, and inclusiveness. Regardless, Mingri's fate was sealed. She would serve only as nourishment for Ada Wong's transformation. There was no other possibility. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 384 Mutation Achieved. Bang, bang, bang. Mary and Mingri clashed fiercely, sending sparks of lightning scattering, transforming the entire alternate dimension into a thunderous inferno. Not only did Mingri bear the brunt of the blow, but even Wang Yunxiao, watching from afar, was caught on the crossfire, leaving countless burn marks all over his body. The two women had only fought for a few minutes, but Mingri was already clearly at a disadvantage. It wasn't that her strength was truly that low, but rather that compared to Jiang Chen, she was simply too incompetent to fight. Bang! With a resounding thud, Mingri was once again slammed to the ground. This time, however, she remained motionless for a long time. It wasn't that Mingri had suffered any serious injuries. While her combat skills and experience were limited, her healing and regenerative abilities were no slouch. Even with Mary's strength, it would take more than a short time to inflict a serious blow on her. Mingri's temporary inability to resist was due to the immense force of lightning that now swarmed within her, paralyzing her flesh and nerves. Imagine this, Mary's lightning power would have tormented even Wang Yunxiao to the point of utter agony, let alone a rookie like Mingri, whose willpower was weak and whose experience in combat was virtually non-existent. Boom, Mary showed no sign of retreating. A beam of azure lightning plummeted, striking Mingri squarely. HMPH, Mingri grunted, his eyes widening as his head tilted, and he passed out. Up, dear, can you be less violent next time? Wang Yunxiao slid over to Mary's side, asking pitifully. He looked utterly awful, his body scorched and his face black. Stop the nonsense. Send Ada over here. This level of lightning power won't keep her unconscious for long. Mary glared at Wang Yunxiao and said sternly. If it weren't for the slight curl of Mary's lips and the fleeting smile in her eyes, Wang Yunxiao might have believed her. Although he knew Mary was doing it on purpose, what else could Wang Yunxiao do? As she said, the most important thing now was to get the business done before it got too late. With a wave of her hand, Ada Wang and Emma appeared at Wang Yunxiao's side. Puff, seeing Wang Yunxiao in such a state of disarray, the two women's first reaction was to burst out in laughter. Stop laughing and get the business done first, Wang Yunxiao said angrily. He knew that if he didn't say anything, the two women would continue to laugh for who knows how long. Okay, Ada Wang's expression became serious, her smile fading. She bent down and grabbed Mingri. Then, her sharp zombie fangs pierced Mingri's neck. Mingri never regained consciousness, passing away silently and completely. Roar, Ada Wang roared to the heavens, her emerald green pupils gradually becoming stained with purple until they were completely replaced. After planning for so long, Ada Wang had finally lived up to Wang Yunxiao's expectations. Under the gaze of the three, she completely transformed. This also gave Wang Yunxiao another being comparable to a father figure. Meanwhile, El Niño and the others had reunited with Kwang Xian'ao, Ma Linger, and Conk. Unwilling to remain in the city center, they retreated to the remote mountains. After hearing El Niño's account of Wang Yunxiao and Mingri, Kwang Xian'ao and the others fell into a long silence. Although Kwang Xian'ao and his companions had already known from Ma Linggang's last words that Wang Yunxiao and his companions were most likely enemies, they were shocked to find they were still unable to make a decisive decision when Wang Yunxiao and his companions revealed their true intentions. At the very least, in Kwang Xian'ao's view, while Wang Yunxiao's motives were unclear, he hadn't done anything to harm them. As for the tomorrow mentioned by El Niño, aside from potentially aiding them in their fight against Jiang Chen and Nuhua, it had no further relevance to them. Furthermore, compared to Wang Yunxiao and his companions' unclear motives, the real headache for Kwang Xian'ao and his companions was the devastating news brought by Peacock. This news was that Jiang Chen had begun to transform people into zombies across the globe. Even Rakano, who was Peacock's descendant, had been transformed into a zombie, including himself. While everyone was horrified by the dire consequences of Jiang Chen's actions, Kwang Xian'ao came up with another, rather ironic, theory. Was Jiang Chen simply trying to save more people? After Nuwa's destruction, perhaps only zombies would survive. Okay, perhaps his speculation was true, but how could the others accept it? Regardless of Jiang Chen's true motives, Kwang Xian'ao and his companions were unable to intervene in the events unfolding across the globe. They were powerless even with Hong Kong in turmoil, let alone anything else. Later, Ma Linger suggested that without the tranquil world Dragon Ball, even she, the ancestor of the Ma family, would find it difficult to confront Jiang Chen. To maximize their chances of subduing Jiang Chen, they must first help her recover the purifying world Dragon Ball. The others were speechless, knowing full well that the purifying world Dragon Ball had been split in two over 60 years ago, falling into the hands of Ami and Xiaomi, respectively. This was the reason their sisters evolved from ordinary house cats into demonic cats. Facing Ma Linger's stern expression, how could anyone possibly tell her the truth? Kwang Fushan even found an excuse to send Ami and Xiaomi away. Unfortunately, Kwang Fushan underestimated Ma Linger's Taoist skills. After all, it was she who had subdued the dragon. Using simple sensing and tracking techniques, she easily tracked down the two cat demon sisters. Just as Malinger was about to subdue the sisters and retrieve the purifying dragon pearl, Wang Yunxiao and his men arrived and stopped her. But Malinger was clearly not ready to give up. Finally, El Niño asked Malinger to wait one more day. He would attempt to open Pangu's tomb the next night and retrieve the Pangu bow and arrows. By then, they would have a solution to deal with Jiang Chen and Nuwa, and there would be no need to rush to retrieve the purifying dragon pearl. After spending so many days together, Malinger had developed a strong impression of Wang Yunxiao and his men. After a moment of hesitation, she finally agreed to El Niño's request. Meanwhile, although Jiang Chen hadn't seen Mingri, he learned of the existence of a mysterious figure from Wangzi, who had escaped. More importantly, Jiang Chen also learned that tomorrow night, on the full moon night, is when El Niño will open Pangu's tomb again. Jiang Chen is well aware of the danger Pangu's tomb poses to Nuwa, and immediately issues a final ultimatum to Sita Fenrin: kill El Niño. Please collect, recommend, and vote. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385, Reopening Pangu Tomb. True Ancestor, what do you want from me? That night, summoned by Jiang Chen, Sita Fenrin suddenly felt a surge of foreboding. We're going to kill Demon Star tonight, Jiang Chen said indifferently. Why? Sita Fenrin cried out, finally understanding the true nature of his ominous premonition. I want him dead. Will you do it, or should I? Answer me. Jiang Chen offered no explanation, simply presenting a cruel choice. I'll do it. After a long struggle, Sita Fenrin finally made the painful decision. He knew that if Jiang Chen took action, El Niño would have no chance of survival. Meanwhile, El Niño and Ami, hand in hand, walked side by side into the mountain church, finding Wang Yunxiao and Malinger. Yunxiao, where's Fu Sheng? Dummy asked with concern, not seeing Wang Fu Sheng. Hancock is in there healing his wounds. What are you doing? Wang Yunxiao answered Dummy, then hesitantly glanced at their tightly clasped hands. Nothing, we can only hold hands for 2 days, El Niño replied, slightly embarrassed. With a road ahead uncertain, he finally couldn't help but confess his love to Dummy, and the two of them hit it off instantly. Yunxiao, I wish you could suck my blood. El Niño, not wanting to continue, suddenly changed the subject. Why? Wang Yunxiao asked, puzzled. Your blood flows from Jiang Chen, meaning your power comes from Jiang Chen. Defeating him is impossible. But if Jiang Chen's blood is combined with the blood of the Demon Star, there's a chance you could defeat him. El Niño's explanation made perfect sense. Perhaps this was the reason Wang Yunxiao was able to ascend to the Zombie King. Niño, you're very weak now. Dami couldn't help but step forward to persuade him. Perhaps this was a way to defeat Jiang Chen, but everyone is selfish, especially when it comes to their loved ones. Even cat demons are no exception. We can't think of any other way, so we can only try our luck. But before Dami could finish, El Niño interrupted her. You can suck it up, but don't take it all. Leave some for me, El Niño said jokingly, trying to ease the awkward atmosphere. After a long silence, Wang Yunxiao finally made a decision and slowly lifted El Niño's collar. Malinger turned away silently. As an exorcist, she had no reason to enjoy what was about to happen. I advise you not to do that, he said with a cold warning. Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, Mary, and Emma appeared side by side in the church. Why? Wang Yunxiao and the others cast a wary look. Even Malinger turned around, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. This was the first time she had seen Wang Yunxiao and the others. It's simple. The bloodline of the Demon Star can only belong to us. Anyone else who dares to spy will be killed, Wang Yunxiao said calmly, the last word kill not concealing the murderous intent that was etched in his bones. Wang Yunxiao's pupils constricted sharply, his entire body tensed, ready for battle. Malinger even unleashed her exorcist rod. Zombies had never been her favorite. As for Dami, now transformed into a cat demon, well, Wang Yunxiao didn't even take her seriously. Mr. Wang, El Niño opened his mouth, about to say something else, but was bluntly interrupted by Wang Yunxiao. Little baldhead, stop spouting nonsense. For Ma Ding Dang's sake, I'll give you another chance to open Pangu's tomb, Wang Yunxiao scoffed, but didn't act immediately. Instead, he decided to let El Nino open the tomb and retrieve the Pangu bow. The excuse of Ma Dingdang's sake was just an excuse. The real reason was, without the Pangu bow, how could Quang Xian'ao and Ma Zierling detonate the meteorite heading for Earth? Upon hearing Wang Yunxiao's words, not only El Nino, but also Quang Xian'ao and Ma Linger fell silent. While they couldn't understand Wang Yunxiao's exact purpose, they desperately needed to open Pangu's tomb and retrieve the Pangu bow. In fact, whether or not Quang Xian'ao could suck El Nino's blood wasn't that important compared to this. After all, they viewed it as just a possibility. However, what they didn't know was that it was more than just a possibility. What's up? Have you decided? Wang Yunxiao frowned slightly as El Nino hesitated. He knew that with Jiang Chen and Sita Fenrin arriving soon, something unexpected might happen. Okay, El Nino agreed without hesitation. Ultimately, they had no other choice. After some simple preparations, El Nino began preparing to open Pangu's tomb again. He even summoned Conk, the powerful monk from Sadakano. Of course, this was Wang Yunxiao's suggestion. I will now exert all my might to break the nine-tailed fox's barrier and absorb the yin energy of the moonlight. At this moment, do not allow anyone to disturb me, El Nino spoke as he sat cross-legged beneath the collapsed church's breach, allowing the moonlight to shine directly upon him. Executing a series of profound hand seals, El Nino painstakingly broke the white fox's barrier, allowing the moonlight to directly penetrate him and rapidly age him. Perhaps, after this, he wouldn't survive until the next full moon. El Nino's movements remained unbroken, continuing to execute one profound hand seal after another, successfully reopening the Pangu tomb. Xian'ao, you may enter. The code to the Pangu tomb is, El Nino said slowly. Don't tell me. Let me go in with him. Just then, Xiaomi suddenly rushed in, interrupting El Nino. And you have to come in with us. Don't refuse me, unless you never want to get the half of the pure world dragon pearl inside me. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, Xiaomi pointed her finger directly at Ma Linger, shutting down any possible refusal. Xiaomi, stop it. Dami quickly pulled Xiaomi aside to persuade her. If you answer 3 questions, I will definitely tell you the password to Pangu's tomb. Otherwise, no one will be able to retrieve Pangu's bow and arrow. Xiaomi was determined, and she spoke stubbornly, ignoring Dami's persuasion. After all, she was sure that Dami would not go against her will, and El Nino would not do the same for Dami's sake. Quang Xian'ao didn't rush to make a decision, but simply glanced at Ma Linger. What are you looking at me for? Can't you make your own decision as a man? Ma Linger said angrily. Please add this to your collection, recommend it, and vote for it. Chapter 386. A good show. Although she had only spent a short time with Quang Xian'ao, Ma Linger could see that indecision played a significant role in his character. Thank you. Quang Xian'ao felt a slight pang of hesitation at Ma Linger's words, but his resolve hardened. He quietly thanked Ma Linger and strode towards the Pangu tomb. You'd better not try any tricks, or I'll definitely take that half-dragon ball back. Ma Linger followed Quang Xian'ao without hesitation, but before entering the Pangu tomb, she warned Xiaomi. Xiaomi curled her lips in disdain and also entered the Pangu tomb. Great-grandfather, El Nino asked, as if realizing something had just happened, as soon as the 3 of them entered the Pangu tomb. I'm here to kill you. Sita Fenrin strode into the church. Are you crazy? He's your great-grandson. Dami immediately threw herself in front of El Nino and demanded angrily. I can't disobey the true ancestor's orders, Sita Fenrin said expressionlessly. His eyes were glazed, his face devoid of any emotion, clearly possessed by Jiang Chen's blood mark. Unfortunately, I can't let you do this. He belongs to us. Before El Nino and the others could react, Wang Yunxiao stepped forward, half smiling. You want to stop me? Sita Fenrin glared at Wang Yunxiao coldly, a murderous glint in his eyes. He wondered if this was Jiang Chen's manipulation. It's not him, it's me. Ada Wang suddenly stepped forward. Having just completed her transformation, she truly needed a hearty, intense battle to quickly adapt to the surge of power within her. Unfortunately, Sita Fenrin likely didn't possess such strength yet. Bang! Without giving Sita Fenrin a chance to speak, he was instantly blasted away by Ada Wang's gravity. His body swayed slightly, but Ada Wang had already pursued him. Bang! 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 Then, the sounds of fierce collisions filled everyone's ears. Why do the Yamamoto Ichiro clan always seem so prone to fighting among themselves? What wrong did we do in our past lives? El Niño couldn't help but murmur softly, perhaps reflecting on his own past, sighing to himself. Alright, little bald head, it's almost time, Wang Yunxiao said calmly, unwilling to delay any further. Sita Fenrin had arrived, so how could Jiang Chen be far behind? Master Conk, please come here, El Niño said to Conk without responding to Wang Yunxiao. Though unsure of what El Niño was about to do, Conk obeyed and approached him. I've given you enough power to hold up the Pangu tomb door. Cheyenne Iao and the others are in your care. El Niño slowly stood up, forming hand seals, and seated Conk in his seat. Ahem, El Niño finally turned his gaze to Wang Yunxiao. The exertion of opening the Pangu tomb, coupled with his rapid aging, caused him to cough softly. Nino, how are you? Dummy asked, concerned. It's okay, that's just how old people are. Mr. Wang, sorry to have kept you waiting. Let's go out and take care of it. After a quick chat with Dummy, El Niño finally addressed Wang Yunxiao. He seemed unfazed by any anxiety or worry about what was about to happen. He had already mentally prepared himself. Wang Yunxiao was about to nod in agreement, but paused, sensing Jiang Chen's arrival. Leave it to me, Mary smiled faintly, took Emma's hand, and strode out of the church. El Niño said nothing more, simply giving Dummy a loving gaze before following. Nino, Dummy, unable to let go of her worries, struggled slightly. Then chased after them. For a moment, Wang Yunxiao and Peacock were the only ones left in the church. Perhaps there was someone else who hadn't yet appeared. Come out. We're old friends, so why avoid each other? Wang Yunxiao said, a faint smile rising from his lips. I'm just here to watch. Before he could finish his words, Jiang Chen had silently appeared in the church. Then let's go together. Watching a show alone can be a bit boring. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, acting perfectly natural, as if chatting with an old friend. In Pangu's tomb, Kwang Xian'ao, Ma Linger, and Xiaomi had reached the final level. After a brief argument, Xiaomi finally asked her first question, directed at Kwang Xian'ao. Excluding the women from the past, at this moment, is Ma Xiaoling the one you love most? If this were the second round of my bet with Nuwa would definitely bet that Kwang Xian'ao couldn't overcome the cat demon. Jiang Chen watched with rapt interest, not forgetting to share his feelings with Wang Yunxiao. Oh? So you're betting that Kwang Xian'ao can make it? Wang Yunxiao was happy to oblige. If he could avoid fighting Jiang Chen, that would be even better. And once Mary and Ada Wang dealt with El Niño and Sita Fenrin, his choices would become more relaxed. Yes. If I only look at the cards, I have a high chance of losing, but sometimes winning also depends on luck. I'm really afraid that I will win. Jiang Chen nodded lightly, and said with a sigh. Then, he paid more attention to Pangu's tomb. In Pangu's tomb, after a brief silence, Kwang Xian'ao frankly admitted that at this moment, the person he loved the most was Ma Xiaoling. Xiaomi was heartbroken, but still said the 3 passwords, and she did not lie to Kwang Xian'ao. Then, Xiaomi asked her second question, and this time the person she asked was Ma Linger. Are you still in love with Kwang Zhongtang? Ma Linger's answer was, of course, no. Undoubtedly, Ma Linger said something against her will, because she was really hurt too deeply by Kwang Zhongtang, and she even dared not face her own heart. But this is not surprising. If not, how could she have set the curse that women of the Ma family cannot shed tears? Although Ma Linger lied, Xiaomi still said the correct 3 passwords. That's because she wanted to hear the answer to Kwang Xian'ao's last question more. Kwang Xian'ao, have you ever loved me? Tisk tisk, what a difficult choice. If it were you, how would you answer? Hearing Xiaomi's last question, Jiang Chen sighed and asked Wang Yunxiao for his opinion. As you said, this is indeed a difficult question to answer. If you answer no, you will anger the cat demon and die. If you answer yes, it will be a deception, which does not conform to Kwang Xian'ao's character and will make him more painful. Wang Yunxiao shrugged and did not answer directly. Although, he already knew the answer. Today's 4 updates are here. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 387 Gift and Sacrifice. Could it be that his luck is really that bad? Jiang Chen did not expect Wang Yunxiao to be able to give an answer, because at this moment, even he himself was not sure, what choice would Kwang Xian'ao make? As expected, but also unexpectedly, the answer given by Kwang Xian'ao was no. This answer completely broke Xiaomi's heart, and no matter how Wang Yunxiao tried to persuade her, it was useless. This also made the last password Xiaomi gave Wang Yunxiao no longer sure, and he could only try his luck. Fortunately, although Xiaomi was willful and reckless on weekdays, at the critical moment, she did not pay for her willfulness with the safety of the whole world, and the password she gave in the end was indeed correct. In this way, Wang Yunxiao and Malinger successfully obtained the Pangubo. Unfortunately, there was only the Pangubo. There was only one pair of Pangubos and arrows, and the Panga arrows had long been destroyed by Jiang Chen. Heartbroken, Xiaomi chose not to leave with Wang Yunxiao and Malinger after they left the Panga tomb with a Pangubo. She chose to perish alongside the tomb and returned half of the purifying dragon pearl to Malinger. This moved Malinger, and she secretly made a decision. Before this, Dummy had already reached the end of her life. But she could only blame herself for attempting to interfere in the fierce battle between Mary and El Niño, only to be severely injured and nearly killed by Emma. Anti-dummy, this enraged El Niño, and his strength surged. However, this was of no use. Whether due to the immense energy consumption of opening the Panga tomb or his rapid aging, El Niño was powerless against Mary. Bang! At that moment, Sita Fenrin fell heavily to the ground. Despite his struggles, he could hardly escape Ada Wang's gravitational field. Bang! Another muffled sound echoed as El Niño, following Sita Fenrin's footsteps, also slammed into Ada Wang's gravitational field. Unlike Sita Fenrin, however, he still had the strength to break free. Little one, stop your futile struggle. It will only harm yourself and others. Just as El Niño was about to break free, Ada Wang's cold voice echoed in his ear. Hearing this, El Niño immediately stopped his struggle. He glanced at Sita Fenrin, who was still struggling, then at the dying dummy, and froze in place. Perhaps you can take a gamble. If you're willing to cooperate and donate your blood, we'll promise to stop Nuwa's destruction, Mary said expressionlessly, not continuing her attack. Compared to Mingri, El Niño's combat skills and experience might be inferior, but it's undeniable that his learning ability is truly exceptional. Completely defeating him would be a long shot. Therefore, Mary came up with this method. Unexpectedly, she actually found the right one. Can you give me a few minutes? El Niño said with difficulty after a brief silence. Sure, Mary and Ada Wang exchanged a glance and calmly agreed. Ada Wang also removed the gravitational field in due time. Anti-dummy, you should rest a while. El Niño quickly walked over to Dummy and cradled her, barely breathing. Great-grandfather, I know you're deliberately trying to provoke yourself into becoming like Sita Fenrin, the man who killed Damato Shizuka. Otherwise, you wouldn't dare face Jiang Chen, right? You're trying to imitate me, sacrificing a few to save others, but you're taking the wrong approach. El Niño then offered Sita Fenrin earnest advice. I'm not wrong, Sita Fenrin cried, clutching his head. At this point, he could no longer tell whether his actions were his own will or the control of the blood mark. A zombie's greatest strength doesn't come from hatred and anger. Hatred and anger won't give you any power. They won't allow you to kill anyone you want, and they'll only hurt those who care about you. Turn back, great-grandpa, El Niño continued to persuade him. But I've already killed many people. I can't turn back, Nino. Sita Fenrin was indeed moved by El Niño's persuasion, and some of his original nature returned, but it wasn't enough to free him from the bloodmark's control. I can do it, great-grandpa, I'll help you. El Niño sighed softly, and suddenly two balls of bright red light flashed from his fingertips. In an instant, they penetrated Sita Fenrin's brow and the body of Dummy in his arms. You're courting death, Mary raged. She could see that the two balls of blood were El Niño's lifeblood essence. However, everything had just happened so fast, catching her completely off guard and leaving her powerless to stop it. Don't get excited. This won't damage my demon-starred bloodline, El Niño said hastily, fearing Mary might harm Sita Fenrin and Dummy. Stop talking nonsense. You don't have time. Regardless of whether El Niño was telling the truth, Mary wasn't prepared to give him another chance and coldly issued her final ultimatum. Okay, El Niño nodded slightly, gently placing Dummy on the ground. No, Nino, Dummy cried out with difficulty, completely powerless to stop him. Stop, Sita Fenrin, having temporarily broken free from the bloodmark's control, was about to intervene, but before he could move, he was once again suppressed by Ada Wang's gravitational magnetic field. Emma, Mary said in a low voice, seeing that El Niño didn't seem to be faking it. But at the same time, She was fully alert, ready to prevent El Niño from pulling off any more tricks. "I'm coming," Emma ran over happily. "Thank you, little Nino. We'll help you fulfill your wish." As Emma spoke, she reached El Niño and, without hesitation, bit him on the neck. Emma had truly waited so long for this moment. When Kwang Xian'ao, Ma Linger, and Kong rushed out of the church, they saw El Niño, completely lifeless, dummy, barely breathing, and Sita Fenrin, still struggling fiercely. "Dummy, how are you?" Seeing that Dummy seemed to want to speak, Kwang Xian'ao hurried over. "Xian'ao, Nino has something for you." With her last breath, Dummy struggled to pass the last drop of blood Nino had given her to Kwang Xian'ao. At the same time, Wang Yunxiao appeared beside Ada Wang and Mary and took Emma, who lay unconscious, blood staining the corners of her mouth, from Mary's arms. "Let's go back." Wang Yunxiao didn't ask any more questions. He just took another deep look at a certain direction not far away, then teleported away with the three women. In that direction, Zhang Chen appeared silently. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 388 Awakening. Since El Nino's death, Zhang Chen has not further pressured Kwang Xian'ao, remaining by Nuwa's side daily, awaiting the day her spirit awakens. Ma Linger vanished without a trace after retrieving the complete world-purifying dragon pearl. Kwang Xian'ao searched for her daily, but to no avail. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Sita Fenrin suffered the most tragic fate, imprisoned in Tongshan Tower by Jiang Chen, where he suffered the torment of the blood seal. Jiang Chen had resolved to tame him into an obedient lackey. As for Wang Yunxiao and his companions, they had also been absent from public view. Ever since consuming the demon star bloodline, Emma had been in a constant coma, a fact that Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary were unwilling to leave her side for even a moment, keeping her in silent vigil. Until one day, Emma, lying peacefully in her soft bed like a sleeping beauty, suddenly felt her eyelids flutter. Wang Yunxiao and the other two immediately focused their attention on Emma, eager for her to awaken from her coma and, even more so, for her to complete her zombie bloodline's advancement. Wang Yunxiao was quite confident. If Emma hadn't been undergoing a drastic transformation within her zombie bloodline, how could she have remained unconscious for so long? The next moment, Emma's eyes suddenly opened. Her blood-red pupils held a chill as cold as 1,000 years of ice, devoid of any emotion. Roar! A high-pitched roar echoed throughout the sky, sweeping with resentment and foul air, easily ripping through the barrier cast by the white fox. At that moment, all those still alive looked in bewildered, in the direction of the sound. Suddenly, they despaired that the end of the world was imminent, and this roar was the clarion call that would herald it. "Is this Emma okay?" Ada Wang asked worriedly, observing Emma, who looked completely different from her usual self. "It's okay. Her zombie bloodline is just surging too quickly, and she can't control it properly for a while." Wang Yunxiao shook his head lightly, feigning a casual air. Despite his words, his eyes remained fixed on Emma, unblinking, not daring to relax. In reality, Emma's condition was far from perfect. The surge of zombie bloodline had nearly driven her to utter madness. This was Wang Yunxiao's fault for not thinking things through. While Emma had great potential, her experience and accumulation were still somewhat shallow, so this situation was perfectly normal. At the very least, if it were Selene, with her thousands of years of experience and accumulation, this wouldn't have happened. "Looks like we're going to have to work hard." After a moment, seeing that Emma's condition hadn't improved but was actually edging closer to collapse, Wang Yunxiao said with a wry smile to Ada Wang and Mary. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, he enveloped them all in another dimension. Bang, bang, bang. Then, the sound of a violent collision echoed throughout the alien space. "Big brother you!" Kwang Fushan shrank into Kwang Xian'ao's arms, his pupils unconsciously turning emerald green, filled with panic and fear. "Jiang Chen?" Kwang Xian'ao looked into the distance in the direction of the roar, muttering the name uncontrollably. Although he knew the roar didn't come from Jiang Chen, it felt incredibly similar to Jiang Chen's, with an added chill that sent a chill through his spine. "It's the Zombie King." Hey Yu said in a deep voice. Ever since Nuwa exiled herself outside the Nine Heavens, she had been by Jiang Chen's side, and naturally knew a lot about the Zombie King. "You mean?" Kwang Xian'ao looked at Hey Yu in disbelief. Of course, he knew the Zombie King, and therefore, he was even more aware of how difficult it was to ascend to the rank of Zombie King. Then, a thought occurred to him, and the disbelief in his eyes deepened. Yes, that's just what you thought. According to what you said before, the one who ascended to Zombie King is most likely Mr. Wang's female companion. I never thought. Hey, you confirmed Wang Yunxiao's suspicions, but she couldn't help but harbor a lingering curiosity about Wang Yunxiao and the others. Deep down, she even considered them companions who could unite to kill Nuwa and Zhang Chen. How is that possible? Wang Yunxiao muttered softly, his expression complex. The El Nino incident had already convinced him that Wang Yunxiao and the others were enemies, not friends. Now, with the matter between Zhang Chen and Nuwa still unresolved, and Wang Yunxiao facing several more formidable enemies, his already bleak future inevitably gave rise to a sense of despair. Elsewhere, at the very top of the Tower of Babel, Lan Dali, Bai Hu, and Wang Zi all gathered before Zhang Chen. With such a sudden turn of events, no matter their true thoughts, their first thought was Zhang Chen. Don't worry about these unimportant matters. What you need to do now is to kill as many people as possible and ensure Nuwa's spirit awakens before January 2, 2001, Zhang Chen waved his hand nonchalantly, seemingly unconcerned. The truth was, the day of Nuwa's destruction was drawing near. If her spirit didn't awaken before then, the consequences would be unpredictable. And compared to this, the birth of a new zombie king was something he wouldn't even consider. But, true ancestor, what if he's our enemy? Lan Dali feigned hesitation. Despite being stricken with a blood mark, he always seized every opportunity to provoke Zhang Chen into a confrontation with a powerful foe, ideally resulting in a mutually devastating outcome. Don't worry, he won't give you any trouble for now, Zhang Chen said confidently. He had a rough idea of who had ascended to Zombie King. And how could Zhang Chen be unaware of Lan Dali and the others' intentions? But with no one else to turn to, he indulged their petty motives. In the final analysis, he was completely confident that he could suppress them at any time. Why? Does the true ancestor already know who she is? Bai Hu couldn't help asking. But in fact, she was asking even though she already knew the answer. In their hearts, they had already roughly guessed who would be promoted to the Zombie King this time. Although her starting point was different from Lan Dali and Wang Zi, from her heart, she also hoped that Nuwa would succeed in destroying the world. Okay, you don't have to say anything more. You don't need to worry about this matter. Just do your own thing. Get out, Zhang Chen said lightly. His expression suddenly changed, and he immediately sent the three people away. This was because he clearly felt that Nuwa's soul was showing signs of awakening. Under Zhang Chen's nervous gaze, after an unknown amount of time, Nuwa slowly opened her eyes. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 389 The Wedding of the Century. You're finally awake, Zhang Chen said softly. Why would I wake up? I thought I was dead. Nuwa, newly awake, was momentarily confused as to what had happened. As long as I'm here, you won't die? Zhang Chen interrupted Nuwa with a domineering tone, almost as if asserting his sovereignty. You exude a strong murderous aura. Nuwa seemed unaccustomed to Zhang Chen's dominance. Although she wouldn't object, she instinctively changed the subject. I've killed many people, Zhang Chen nodded. You kill people? Nuwa was startled by this. In her impression, Zhang Chen, while indifferent to life, had never been a bloodthirsty person. Yes, I killed many people. No, I should say, I had your men kill many people. I had White Fox blockade the entire Hong Kong island, killing a group of people every day. I'm going to use human souls to save you, Zhang Chen spoke slowly, his expression tinged with madness. Why did you do this? Nuwa asked heartbrokenly. This brink of death had already changed her, and her resolve to destroy the world had wavered. Because I don't want to lose you, marry me, Zhang Chen suddenly knelt on one knee and proposed passionately. Perhaps I should wake up. Faced with Zhang Chen's sudden proposal, Nuwa seemed somewhat bewildered. No. You must wake up. If you truly die, everything I do for you will be meaningless. I don't know what will become of me. Because I don't want to lose you again, you belong to me. Zhang Chen's confession became increasingly overbearing and incoherent. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, Zhang Chen reacted immediately, apologizing hastily, fearing to alarm Nuwa. I agree to marry you. But you have to promise me one thing, to restore everything to normal, Nuwa said softly, stopping Zhang Chen's apology. Thank you. I promise, I'll give you the wedding of the century. Zhang Chen was naturally overwhelmed with joy, and as for Nuwa's request, he had no problem with it. However, in stark contrast to Zhang Chen's delight, Lan Dali, Bai Hu, and Wang Zi secretly gathered to discuss how to kill Nuwa and escape. A few days later, at a refugee camp on Hong Kong Island, Kwang Xian'ai received a photo and a videotape, a last-minute gift from Damato Shizuka. The first half of the video was recorded by Ma Xiaoling before she lost her memory, reminding her that she had fallen in love with a man, Kwang Xian'ai. This deeply moved Kwang Xian'ai and deepened his understanding of his own deep love for Ma Xiaoling. The second half was recorded by Ma Linger, who assured Kwang Xian'ai that she would return her body and memories to Ma Xiaoling and lift the curse she had placed on Ma family women. Ma women cannot cry. In the video, Ma Linger even solemnly urges Kwang Xian'ai to bravely face his heart and pursue his love. With Ma Linger's guidance, Kwang Xian'ai quickly found Ma Xiaoling, and the two embraced each other tightly, unwilling to part for a long time. Whether it was Nuwa's awakening spirit accepting Jiang Chen's proposal, or Kwang Xian'ai and Ma Xiaoling's bittersweet reunion, it all foreshadowed one thing: January 2, 2012, was drawing ever closer. Time flew by, and with only a few hours remaining until Nuwa's destruction, Kwang Xian'ai and Ma Xiaoling reunited with Heiyu, heading for the final decisive battle, humanity's final stand. However, the three did not bring Kwang Fushin with them. After all, he was still just a child, a spark of hope. As for Conk, he also did not join the three. He prepared to expend his entire life's energy, chanting the heavenly dragon chant, achieving nirvana and rebirth, transforming into Buddha's heart to dispel the calamities of all beings, hoping to move the heavens and allow humanity to survive this catastrophe. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong Island's oldest church, a wedding of the century took place, naturally between Jiang Chen and Nuwa. Although the only guests attending the ceremony were Landali, Bai Hu, and Wang Zi, Jiang Chen and Nuwa didn't mind. Jiang Chen, in particular, was thrilled to finally get his wish and marry Nuwa at the end of the century. The only flaw was that these three guests, each with their own preoccupations, could never offer a sincere blessing. For thousands and thousands of years, we've witnessed countless joys and sorrows, countless lovers' laughter, only to turn to tears and resentment. Only you and I can remain together forever, Jiang Chen declared passionately, gazing into Nuwa's eyes. Nuwa, in return, met Jiang Chen's gaze with equal affection. At the height of his passion, just as Jiang Chen was about to kiss Nuwa, he suddenly stopped, his expressionless face fixed on the door. Tap tap tap, with a sound of heavy footsteps, Kwang Xian'ai, Ma Xiaoling, and Heiyu strode into the church. Their presence was ill-intentioned. It was clear they weren't here to witness the ceremony. In contrast, Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, Mary, and Emma, who appeared silently in the church, appeared harmonious and at peace, more like congratulatory guests. This, however, made Jiang Chen's pupils shrink slightly, and his expression grew more cautious. Welcome everyone to the first wedding of the new century, also the wedding of the end of the world. Regardless, Jiang Chen displayed the proper demeanor of a host. The children are struggling on the brink of death, and the mother is happily marrying. If there is an afterlife, can she choose a different mother? Ma Xiaoling also offered her congratulatory speech. However, this congratulatory speech made Nuwa feel deeply ashamed, and she dared not meet Ma Xiaoling's gaze. According to traditional custom, the wedding ceremony can only be held in the bridal chamber. If you insist on playing the other way around, I'll be happy to accompany you. Jiang Chen strode forward, a cold smile playing on his lips. I'm sorry. I didn't know today was your wedding day, so I didn't bring any gifts for you. The only thing I can give you is to help you complete this wedding. Kwang Xian'ai raised his hand to stop Heiyu from stepping forward, and smiled gracefully. Today is your big day. As friends, we naturally have to come to congratulate you. Seeing Jiang Chen's eyes fall on her again, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile. Thank you. Jiang Chen nodded slightly, strode back to Nuwa, and took her hand. Jiang Chen, I am willing to marry Nuwa today. I, Nuwa, am willing to marry Jiang Chen today. No matter whether the future is good or bad, I only wish to be together forever. We will never leave each other, and the long years of heaven and earth can be witnesses. The wedding continued, and Jiang Chen and Nuwa confessed their love with deep affection, hoping to move the heavens. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 390 The decisive battle begins. What is heaven? Different worlds have different definitions. But in the world of My Date with a Vampire, heaven is, in a sense, the Pangu clan. Boom. At the final moment of the wedding, as the groom Jiang Chen kissed his bride, Nuwa, A sudden rumble of thunder echoed through the clear sky. This seemed to indicate that heaven did not bless this marriage, perhaps even disapproved. Who dares to object? Roar! Zhang Chen roared angrily, his blood-red eyes blazing with a ferocious, cold light. The thunder abruptly ceased, as if even heaven had retreated before Zhang Chen's fierce power. Roar! His fierce gaze slowly swept across the faces of everyone present. Zhang Chen finally regained his passion and kissed Nuwa passionately. After a long moment, their lips parted. "Thank you, my wife, Nuwa." Zhang Chen, a smile of happiness on his face, introduced himself to the crowd, a completely different person from his previous intimidating presence. Everyone remained silent, seemingly still recovering from Zhang Chen's recent outburst. Congratulations, Wang Yunxiao, however, offered a heartfelt blessing. Regardless of whether they would face death in the future, at least at this moment, he sincerely hoped that Zhang Chen would finally achieve his wish. "Thank you," Zhang Chen nodded gratefully, a flicker of warmth and relief in his eyes. Zhang Chen's reaction was not only due to the sincere blessing, but also because he had received a hidden promise from Wang Yunxiao, a promise not to attack Nuwa. The current situation was clearly a three-way standoff, no. More accurately, a four-way standoff. Whether it was Huang Xianyao and his three companions, Wang Yunxiao's group, or the malicious Landali, White Fox, and Wang Zi, their primary targets would inevitably be Zhang Chen and Nuwa. Everyone present knew this, not to mention Zhang Chen himself. As the progenitor of the zombies, Zhang Chen feared no challenge, even danger. His only concern, however, was Nuwa. While he had a backup plan, he had no confidence he could defeat Wang Yunxiao and his group. Now that Wang Yunxiao had made his promise, he could rest assured. "Don't wait for me tonight. I'll be back later." Freed from his worries, Zhang Chen softly instructed Nuwa, like a husband leaving for work. Nuwa kissed Zhang Chen gently, like a wife seeing him off. "We just had a wedding here. I don't want to fight here. Let's find another place," Zhang Chen said calmly, then stepped forward to face the crowd. "No problem," Wang Yunxiao shrugged, readily agreeing. "Okay." Huang Xianyao had no objections. Immediately, the three figures vanished from their original location, seeking another battlefield. Ada Wang, Mary, and Emma smiled at each other and followed suit. Since Wang Yunxiao had made his decision, they naturally didn't want to get involved in what was to follow. "It's our turn." As the six people left, Ma Xiaoling wasn't prepared to delay any longer. "Ma Xiaoling, Sister Hiao, there's no need to get so excited. We're all in this together." Unexpectedly, Landali suddenly switched sides. "Master, we've played with you for so long. It's enough. It's time for you to finish." Then, Landali revealed his true colors to Nuwa. Beihu and Huangzi didn't say anything, but they all seemed to follow Landali's lead. At least, that's how it looked. "I'm sorry. You thought it was all because of me that you were suffering. Go ahead and do it." After a brief silence, Nuwa showed no anger. Not even the slightest resistance. One could only say that this brink of death had truly changed her. "Why aren't you going to act yet?" Even as cunning as Landali was, even at this moment, he didn't want to be the first to take action, instead goading others into action. Unfortunately, no one present was foolish enough to be the first to take action. Who knew if Zhang Chen had any other tricks up his sleeve? For a moment, the atmosphere in the church was strangely eerie, almost comical. The true ancestor has decreed that all who disrespect Nuwa be killed. However, this strange atmosphere didn't last long. With the appearance of Sita Fenrin, completely possessed by the blood seal, the deadlock was broken. It was unknown what tactics the general employed, but Sita Fenrin, standing alone against five, held his own. More importantly, the five were not on the same page, each harboring their own agenda. Ma Xiaoling was the first to withdraw from the battle. Regardless of whether Sita Fenrin was under the blood seal or not, she had no desire to fight him to the death. The remaining 4 5-color envoys, who had long held a grudge against each other, inevitably began their own calculations. Landali, seeing the situation was dire, unthinkingly pushed the nearest White Fox to take the blame, resulting in the White Fox being severely wounded and near death by Sita Fenrin. Next came Wang Zi, still brooding over his romantic feelings at this moment. Crucially, White Fox not only harbored no affection for him, but rather longed for his death. She immediately delivered him into Sita Fenrin's clutches, becoming his first victim. Later, Landali, seeing the situation dire, attempted to flee, but was dragged down by Heyu, and both perished at the hands of Sita Fenren. It's a truism that if they didn't seek death, they wouldn't die. If they had worked together, they wouldn't have been defeated so quickly. At the very least, if they had held out a little longer, perhaps even fighting Sita Fenren to a mutual defeat, there might have been a chance. At this point, the only one left standing was Ma Xiaoling. Just as Sita Fenren set his sights on Ma Xiaoling, El Nino's lingering spirit suddenly appeared and stopped him. It turned out that the drop of lifeblood essence passed down to Sita Fenren that day still contained a wisp of El Nino's spirit, waiting for this very moment. Aided by El Nino's remnant soul and blood essence, Sita Fenren successfully freed himself from the blood seal's control and returned to the right path. Unfortunately, this also depleted the remaining blood essence, completely denying Sita Fenren his chance at ascending to zombie king status. It's all just fate. Elsewhere, Zhang Chen and Huang Xianyao were already locked in a fierce battle. Their clashes took place from the ground up in the air, claiming a recently reopened passenger plane about to land at Hong Kong Island Airport as its unfortunate victim. Their final battle took place atop this very aircraft. Indeed, so far, the only participants in the fierce battle were Zhang Chen and Huang Xianyao, with Wang Yunxiao remaining a mere spectator. Not to mention his disdain for joining forces with Huang Xianyao. Even if he truly didn't mind, the two couldn't possibly trust each other at this point. 4 updates for today are here. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 391 Situ's End. The fierce battle between Zhang Chen and Huang Xianyao stunned the captain and passengers aboard the plane. Perhaps they thought they had seen God? In reality, while they hadn't, they were already on their way to meeting him. Bang! After a brief standoff atop the plane, Zhang Chen launched a powerful palm strike, sending the entire aircraft spinning and flying. Huang Xianyao, unwilling to sit idly by, exerted force with his feet and finally stopped the plane's spin. Zhang Chen swung his arms downward, sending the plane hurtling toward the ground again. The passengers, barely recovering from their dizziness, were once again enjoying the thrill of their rapid descent. Huang Xianyao, no longer concerned with competing with Zhang Chen, raced after the plane at top speed, hoping to save the over 100 lives aboard. If you save people, you'll never be able to kill me, Zhang Chen barked coldly, slowly pursuing Huang Xianyao, as if playing a game of cat and mouse. Huang Xianyao, I must fight you today. At this moment, Sita Fenren was rushing towards Huang Xianyao at a high speed. This made Huang Xianyao heart tighten. With Sita Fenren in front and Zhang Chen behind, it seemed that he was powerless to prevent the tragedy from happening. However, today we are competing to see who can kill Zhang Chen first. Unexpectedly, at the moment when Sita Fenren and Huang Xianyao passed by, he said confidently again. He had been helped by El Nino to break the blood seal, and his goal from beginning to end was only one, that is Zhang Chen. However, Sita Fenren seemed to be a little too confident. Did he really think that by breaking the blood seal, he could kill Zhang Chen? Bang bang bang, Sita Fenren took over from Huang Xianyao and stopped Zhang Chen. I don't know if it was the confidence that gave him more strength, but in such a short period of time, he really fought Zhang Chen on equal terms. Huang Xianyao also gave his all, and at the critical moment, he successfully prevented the plane from crashing, saving over 100 lives aboard. Meanwhile, Ma Xiaoling also approached Nuwa, a married woman who no longer harbored thoughts of world destruction and had even prepared for her own death. Where are the 5 colored messengers? Nuwa asked, sensing Ma Xiaoling's arrival. Without turning back, her eyes fixed on the fierce battle between Zhang Chen and Sita Fenren, completely unprepared. You won't see them again, Ma Xiaoling said calmly. They don't want to see me again. Why are people always like this? By the time we realize we're wrong, it's too late, Nuwa chuckled wryly, self-deprecatingly. Perhaps it's not too late, there might still be a way to remedy the situation, Ma Xiaoling said suggestively. It's useless. As long as my spirit remains indestructible, the meteorite will inevitably hit Earth, and the destruction of the world will be unstoppable, Nuwa sighed softly, acknowledging this harsh reality. Upon hearing this, Ma Xiaoling's pupils constricted violently, her heart sinking to the bottom. Why haven't you made your move yet? After a long wait, with no sign of a fatal blow, Nuwa finally withdrew her gaze, looking at Ma Xiaoling in confusion. I have no interest in killing a woman who wants to die. Besides, if you die, Zhang Chen will go mad. Even if you don't destroy the world, he will. Ma Xiaoling stalked away without a backward glance. It wasn't that she didn't want to, but that she couldn't. Not to mention that Ma Xiaoling had no confidence she could completely obliterate Nuwa's spirit. Even if she could, she wouldn't dare. As she had said, with Jiang Chen completely driven to madness, no one would be able to stop him. This was precisely why Wang Yunxiao had never set his sights on Nuwa. In truth, the true guilt of this apocalyptic catastrophe had shifted from Nuwa to Jiang Chen at some point. Nuwa's life or death no longer held the key to this apocalyptic catastrophe. Bang, 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 the fierce battle between Sita Fenrin and Jiang Chen continued. It seemed that Sita Fenrin was completely outmatched, but was that truly the case? Just as Sita Fenrin seized the opportunity to strike Jiang Chen's heart, he was surprised to find that his sure-shot strike had missed. You're not worthy enough to play with me. The next moment, Jiang Chen silently appeared before Sita Fenrin and delivered a powerful punch to his chest. Your resentment, your hatred, will never kill me. But just as Sita Fenrin was about to fly backward, Jiang Chen had already arrived, easily stopping him and striking him in the chest with another blow. Sita Fenrin's body shook slightly, and then he fell limply to one knee. While the two blows didn't kill him, they had left him severely injured. Roar, Guang Xianyao, who had just saved the passenger plane, roared in anger and attempted to step forward to help, but was stopped by the remnant spirit of El Niño, contained within the essence and blood gifted to him by Dami. Don't be angry, Xianyao, forget your anger. The power of zombies comes from love. However, El Niño's advice was powerless to quell Guang Xianyao's rage. Sita Fenrin also struggled to stand, ready to join Guang Xianyao in fighting Jiang Chen. Okay, two of us, I like it, Jiang Chen grinned defiantly, completely ignoring the attitude of Guang Xianyao and Sita Fenrin. Guang Xianyao and Sita Fenrin exchanged glances, and in tacit understanding, they rushed towards Jiang Chen. Despite being 1 against 2, Jiang Chen easily gained the upper hand. Sita Fenrin, already severely injured, was the first to be sent flying, followed by Guang Xianyao, who was left struggling alone. Go to hell. In a flash, Jiang Chen appeared before Sita Fenrin, grabbing him by the neck, lifting him high above his head, and hammering him in the chest with punch after punch. No, don't do this. Guang Xianyao wanted to stop him, but he was completely powerless and could only plead in agony. You disappoint me so much? You believe in the power of anger, the power of hatred. I tried my best to make you resent me, but you can only do this much? Jiang Chen roared in despair, his fists raining down on Sita Fenrin without stopping. I beg you, Jiang Chen, Guang Xianyao screamed hoarsely. I've done everything I could, so why are you still so disappointing? Or is your resentment still not enough? Jiang Chen shook his head in anger, truly disappointed. Bang! Another punch slammed into Sita Fenrin's chest, Jiang Chen holding back no longer. He released his grip, and Sita Fenrin collapsed limply to the ground. Sita Fenrin, Guang Xianyao struggled to get up, and in just 2 or 3 steps he was already in front of Sita Fenrin, carefully holding up his head. At this moment, Sita Fenrin was in such a miserable state, with blood flowing from all 7 orifices, his eyes were vacant, but he had a smile of relief on his face. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392 Never Regret. I finally beat you, Guang Xianyao. I can go seize Hansun first, Sita Fenrin muttered, a smile of relief on his face. Sita Fenrin, why did you do this? I know you deliberately went to Jiang Chen. Was your goal to avenge Ma Dingdang? Guang Xianyao asked bitterly. He was heartbroken to know that another old friend had fallen in the fight against Jiang Chen and Nuwa. Nino is right. The power of zombies isn't resentment. I think I did something wrong, but I tried my best. From now on, I'm counting on you. Don't let me down again. Promise me, Sita Fenrin spoke haltingly, and then he passed out completely. Jiang Chen. Roar, watching Sita Fenrin completely dissipate into thin air, Guang Xianyao roared in anger, recklessly charging at Jiang Chen. Bang! But the next moment, Guang Xianyao was sent flying at an even faster speed. Love is the zombie's greatest strength. I can fight for the woman I love, but what about you? What are you fighting for? Jiang Chen shouted, furious. I'm waiting for you, Guang Xianyao. Zhang Chen didn't pursue his victory, but instead quietly gazed at Huang Xianyao, trapped in the sea of fire, as if anticipating something. An unknown amount of time passed before Huang Xianyao slowly emerged from the flames, his black hair turning white, his eyes a blood red, vertical pupil. At that moment, aided by the essence in blood gifted by El Nino, he had finally completed his ascension to Zombie King. As for the talk of comprehending the ultimate power of zombies, love, that was pure nonsense. At least, that was how Wang Yunxiao saw it. After successfully ascending to Zombie King, Huang Xianyao didn't immediately complete the unfinished battle with Zhang Chen. Instead, it seemed as if his strength had grown, not just his strength, but his heart as well. A sense of mutual understanding permeated the air around the two of them. "Who's that woman?" Ma Xiaoling, Zhang Chen asked gravely. "Yes, she's on her way," Huang Xianyao replied earnestly. "Great. Huang Xianyao, you've finally passed." Zhang Chen's lips curled up slightly, a relieved smile spreading across them. "You don't want the world to be destroyed, do you? You deeply love Nuwa, so you can't let her die. But you also don't want it to be destroyed, so you're forcing Fenrin and me to grow up quickly. Do you want us to kill you?" Thinking of Zhang Chen's many unreasonable actions, Huang Xianyao couldn't help but ask the biggest question in his heart. "This is the only thing I can do for Ding Dang. But I don't want you to kill me. I only ask for a fair and evenly matched showdown. Either you die, or I die, and all problems will be solved." Zhang Chen smiled with relief. At this moment, Zhang Chen was truly relieved, because Huang Xianyao had finally grown as he had hoped, and not just in terms of strength. Pa. Just then, a burst of extremely untimely applause broke out. Wang Yunxiao, who had been watching the show for a long time, finally couldn't help but use this way to make his presence felt. "While your sentiment of recognizing and respecting heroes is touching, I have to interrupt you too because I'm itching to do something," Wang Yunxiao said playfully, seeing both Zhang Chen and Huang Xianyao looking at him. "Huang Xianyao, I have to remind you not to forget your goal. Given the current situation, even if you can kill Zhang Chen, you can't prevent the meteorite from impacting Earth. So, if I were you, my first priority would be to stop the meteorite, wouldn't it?" Seeing that Huang Xianyao showed no sign of stopping, Wang Yunxiao kindly warned. "What did you say?" Huang Xianyao shuddered slightly and looked at Wang Yunxiao in disbelief. "I'm sorry, but I'd love to say this was a joke, but it's the truth. Even without Nuwa's primordial spirit's guidance, the meteorite has already entered Earth's gravitational pull. If you don't find a solution, world destruction is inevitable." Wang Yunxiao spread his hands and stated this harsh reality. "How is this possible?" Huang Xianyao muttered absent-mindedly. "Okay, I'll help you to the end. I'll give you one more tip. The Pangubo." Seeing Huang Xianyao's bewildered, almost desperate expression, Wang Yunxiao kindly offered another reminder. "The Pangubo? What good is a bow without arrows?" Huang Xianyao shook his head bitterly. "That's something you and Ma Xiaoling need to consider." Wang Yunxiao shrugged, unwilling to remind Huang Xianyao any further. Or perhaps, if they hadn't thought things through themselves, no amount of reminders would be of any use. After a brief silence, Huang Xianyao silently turned and left, heading to Ma Xiaoling to discuss how to resolve this catastrophe. From beginning to end, Zhang Chen remained silent, simply watching, eager to see what Huang Xianyao would choose and what Wang Yunxiao would do. "Are you really not going to stop them? If their bodies are destroyed, their spirits will be gone too." Meeting Zhang Chen's probing gaze, Wang Yunxiao's mischievous amusement returned, and he asked with a half-smile. "Do you think they'll succeed?" Zhang Chen asked, not answering. "Of course. Huang Xianyao carries the blood of Yu and Mo Xing, Ma Xiaoling possesses Ma Linger's magical power, and the hopes of 40 generations of Ma family women. If they're willing to sacrifice for this world, their power could potentially be even greater than Pangu's arrow." Wang Yunxiao was confident. "Besides, isn't this what you've always advocated? Only love and sacrifice can save this world." Then, with a hint of sarcasm, Wang Yunxiao added, "What's your purpose in doing this? You no longer belong to this world. What happens to it is none of your business, right?" After a brief silence, Zhang Chen couldn't help but ask the question lingering in his mind. "Of course, it's to pursue greater power. You told me long ago that only Pangu's bloodline can truly help me break the shackles of the zombie bloodline within me and reach the next peak. If this world is destroyed, where will I find Pangu?" Wang Yunxiao revealed his true motive without hiding anything. That's all. Zheng Chen didn't fully believe Wang Yunxiao's words. That's it. In fact, Zheng Chen, you have a better chance of reaching greater heights than I do, but you're bound by your romantic desires. Of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't love Nuwa, it's just that your love is too humble, too indecisive. Wang Yunxiao nodded seriously, then said with regret. Perhaps, but this is my choice. Zheng Chen neither denied nor acknowledged Wang Yunxiao's words. This was his choice, and he would never regret it. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 393, Until Death. Is that all? Zheng Chen asked after sighing, his eyes fixed on Wang Yunxiao, unblinking, capturing every detail of his expression. Despite Wang Yunxiao's explanation, Zheng Chen still couldn't fully believe him. In his opinion, if Wang Yunxiao truly wanted to save the world, he shouldn't have waited until now. He wouldn't have waited until the last minute, the risk was too great. He believed Wang Yunxiao shared his sentiments in this regard. Before that, I had to obtain the bloodlines of Mingri and Moxing. Wang Yunxiao saw Zheng Chen's suspicion and, after a moment's thought, explained. That was a long time ago. Zheng Chen remained unmoved. Okay, I admit, I waited until now because I wanted to verify something. Wang Yunxiao felt helpless, knowing it would be difficult to hide it from Zheng Chen, so he simply gave up. Oh, Zheng Chen smiled with understanding. So, is fate seeking to destroy the world now, or does it have other plans? Wang Yunxiao said gravely. When it came to fate, Wang Yunxiao lost his usual composure and became more cautious. Although fate hadn't made any move since his return to the world of my date with a vampire, he was certain that fate had a hand in everything. He wondered if fate had endured until now because of Zheng Chen, or if it had been held hostage by the Pangu clan, unbeknownst to Wang Yunxiao. Understanding this would undoubtedly be beneficial for his next visit to the my date with a vampire world, plotting against a human king Fuxi, the Aochi Holy Mother, and even fate itself. I see. It seems you have even greater ambitions. Zheng Chen nodded in understanding, a look of wonder in his eyes. While he had never directly confronted fate, their veiled conflict had never ceased. In a sense, whether it was the five-color envoy's resentment towards Nuwa, leading to their ultimate betrayal, Nuwa's decision to destroy the world, or even Zheng Chen himself, wasn't fate playing a hidden hand? After all this talk, aren't you afraid of ruining your plan and killing Kuang Xianyao and Ma Zialing? Zheng Chen immediately put the matter of fate out of his mind, thinking it would soon cease to matter to him. He asked Wang Yunxiao with a half-smile. Will you? Wang Yunxiao asked instead. What do you think? Zheng Chen tossed the ball back to Wang Yunxiao. That's why I'm standing here, telling you all this. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, his aura, which had been suppressed until then, now intensified. At the same time, he revealed his full zombie king form, with blood-red pupils, a pair of broad dragon wings on his back, and a body covered in fine scales. Well, let's have a good fight. To reach greater heights, it's never just about strategy, strength is the foundation. Let me test your qualities. As he spoke, Zheng Chen's expression became cold and ruthless, and he also revealed his full zombie king form. Roar, accompanied by two earth-shattering roars, the two inhuman monsters collided with a force that eclipsed the heavens and the earth. The two engaged in a relentless, fierce clash, raging from the ground to the heavens. The vast expanse of the sky was their perfect battlefield. Bang! Seizing an opportunity, Wang Yunxiao punched Zheng Chen, sending him flying miles away. However, this punch inflicted no real damage. Zheng Chen quickly regained his balance, condensing a massive ball of light in his palm and blasting it towards Wang Yunxiao. The ball of light arrived in an instant, leaving Wang Yunxiao no room to dodge, instantly piercing a massive hole through his chest. Even his full zombie king form was powerless to withstand the impact. However, Wang Yunxiao's healing and regenerative abilities, now in his full zombie king form, skyrocketed to a terrifying degree. While not yet immortal, it was close. The massive hole in his chest healed in the blink of an eye. Bang! The next moment, the two collided fiercely again. Centered on their fists and claws, the space shattered, revealing a massive black hole that tore through and devoured everything around it. Bang! Boom! Boom! The two separated upon contact, dodging the black hole as they engaged in a more intense collision. Ultimately, Wang Yunxiao's strength was inferior to Zheng Chen's, and he was quickly completely defeated. he could only struggle to withstand Jiang Chen's relentless onslaught. Bang! Wang Yunxiao slammed to the ground, his face pale, blood oozing from all 7 orifices. Even the zombie king's form could no longer be fully maintained. "Brother Yunxiao," Emma exclaimed, about to charge towards Wang Yunxiao, but was restrained by Ada Wang. "Sister Ada?" Emma looked at Ada Wang in confusion. "This is his battle," Ada Wang said softly, her eyes thick with worry. Crackle. Though Mary remained silent, bolts of lightning erupted around her, betraying her intense emotion. Jiang Chen slowly descended to the ground, his zombie king form withdrawing. However, he remained undeterred, striding towards Wang Yunxiao. "Stop fighting, Jiang Chen." At that moment, Nuwa's spirit indifferently appeared beside Jiang Chen, her voice mournfully dissuading him. "No. I'm not dead yet, and he's not defeated." Jiang Chen, however, refused to let the fight end. "It's all meaningless," Nuwa sighed, shaking her head, her expression filled with sorrow, nostalgia, love, and even relief. Seeing this, Jiang Chen's heart trembled, and he instinctively looked up to the distant horizon. Wang Yunxiao and the 3 women shared a similar sentiment, all gazing at the endless night sky. In the boundless starry sky, a golden arrow of light streaked across the sky, breaking through the atmosphere and heading straight for the meteorite encasing Nuwa, which was crashing into the earth. For eternity, until death, the oath of Kuang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling faintly echoed in everyone's ears. Boom! With a deafening roar, the meteorite was completely blasted apart by the golden arrow of light before breaking through the atmosphere. "Don't blame anyone, don't let me make another mistake. I will never leave you again," Nuwa said affectionately, holding Jiang Chen's hand tightly. Jiang Chen said nothing, but kissed Nuwa's forehead affectionately. Nuwa slowly closed her eyes, as if immersed in this affectionate kiss. "Let's leave here together." Jiang Chen hugged Nuwa's soul tightly, transformed into golden light, and rushed straight into the sky. "Please collect, recommend, and vote for me." Chapter 394. A girl grows up. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye it was already the turn of the century, at the end of 1999. It had been some time since Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, Mary, and Emma returned to Marvel from the world of My Date with a Vampire. That day, after Jiang Chen had taken Nuwa's spirit from Earth, Wang Yunxiao left without delay, returning directly with the 3 women to the Marvel Universe. Wang Yunxiao didn't want to dwell on the subsequent developments of that world, as he knew full well that the Pangu clan would soon arrive to clean up the mess. Now was not the right time to engage directly with the Pangu clan, especially since he had just hunted down their messenger, Tomorrow. Although Wang Yunxiao coveted the Pangu bloodline, he could only wait for the official start of My Date with a Vampire III, the Eternal Kingdom. However, upon returning to the Marvel Universe, while Ada Wong's complete transformation and Emma's ascension to the Zombie King were certainly welcome developments, Wang Yunxiao's aggressive behavior led to him being severely injured by Jiang Chen, angering the women. They united and placed Wang Yunxiao under house arrest, even prohibiting him from having sex. This devastated Wang Yunxiao. While his recovery was manageable, the years afterward were unbearable. Imagine the pain of being surrounded by these angelic beauties, each possessing a stunning figure, only to be forced to watch. However, the women were truly determined this time, and no matter what Wang Yunxiao tried, they remained unmoved. As for using force? Well, that's an even sadder story. So, Wang Yunxiao spent most of his time locked up in the training grounds, diligently training and developing his zombie bloodline and special abilities, hoping to soon break the tragic situation of being suppressed by his women. While it seems Wang Yunxiao's efforts weren't in vain, as his zombie bloodline and special abilities had further developed and grown, he still had a long way to go before catching up to Mary. Not to mention, Mary had 3 helpful assistants. Though helpless, all Wang Yunxiao could do was continue his arduous training until the women took the initiative to lift a ban on him. Bang, bang, bang. That day, the training grounds, like every other day, erupted with a continuous, dull thud. Wang Yunxiao hammered punch after punch into the adamantium-clad walls, the intense exercise leaving him sweating profusely. This was merely a warm-up, or perhaps a break from the exhaustion of developing his zombie bloodline and special abilities. Suddenly, the alloy doors of the martial arts arena swung open from the outside, and a dazzling black beauty, as radiant as a black pearl, bounded in, radiating a youthful aura. It was none other than Shuri, The gifted beauty who had been with the girl since childhood and whom Wang Yunxiao had high hopes for. She was truly the little princess of Wakanda. Brother Yunxiao, Shuri's sweet, innocent words immediately stopped Wang Yunxiao's movements. My little princess, what's wrong with you running over here? Wang Yunxiao said with a doting smile, pulling Shuri, who had rushed towards him, into a tight embrace and pinching her delicate nose. I came to tell you some good news. Shuri nuzzled comfortably into Wang Yunxiao's arms before giving a mysterious, sweet laugh. It was unclear when Shuri, who had been with the girl since childhood, began to feel a change in his feelings for Wang Yunxiao, which gave him a rare pang of guilt. Well, raising a Lolita was indeed a sin. The girls naturally saw it all, and while they silently accepted the reality, they also frequently criticized Wang Yunxiao about it. What good news? Wang Yunxiao eagerly asked, feigning anticipation. Brother Yunxiao, look at this. Satisfied, Shuri immediately pulled a metallic invitation from his pocket. Invitation? Who sent it? Wang Yunxiao was slightly startled, having never expected someone to actually send him an invitation. For years, Wang Yunxiao had remained secluded in Wakanda, rarely interfering in the affairs of the Umbrella Corporation and the Hellfire Club, practically severing ties with the outside world. How could someone send him an invitation? And to Shuri? Taking the invitation from Shuri and opening it, Wang Yunxiao saw it was just an ordinary tech gathering, with a millennium being the name at best. But that wasn't surprising. With a millennium approaching, many gatherings and events were sporting that name. However, Wang Yunxiao didn't appear to be a scientist, and had little connection to such tech gatherings. So, how could such an invitation have even reached him? Looking at the invitation in his hands, Wang Yunxiao became increasingly confused. Brother Yunxiao, you're truly clueless, Shuri said with a scornful expression, noticing Wang Yunxiao's confusion. Well, then, my beautiful little princess, please explain it to me, Wang Yunxiao said with amusement. Huh? No sincerity at all. Brother Yunxiao, you don't even know how long I'll let that cocky Tony gloat just to get this invitation, Shuri muttered in dissatisfaction before launching into a rant against Tony Stark. What does this have to do with Tony? Wang Yunxiao's head was spinning. Shuri hadn't gotten to the point, so Wang Yunxiao quickly interrupted the little girl. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to stop nagging Tony. However, Wang Yunxiao finally understood. The fact that she had been invited to the event must have been due to Tony. This wasn't surprising, though. Tony was not only a renowned playboy, but also a world-renowned inventor. His weapons were coveted by nations around the world and were highly sought after on the black market. The story of Shuri and Tony was even more interesting. They had known each other since childhood, but perhaps because of similarities, the two youngsters had been at odds from the moment they met. This similarity, of course, referred to their shared exceptional talents. Wang Yunxiao remembered their first encounter at a dinner party at Wang Yunxiao's home, where a physics problem sparked a heated argument and conflict. At that time, one of them was less than 10 years old, and the other was only in his teens. No one knew how these two little guys would suddenly discuss physics at a family dinner. Thanks to Brother Lion for selling musical instruments for the 2 monthly tickets. Today's 4 updates have been presented. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 395 The Two People in Conflict. Of course it matters, because that cocky Tony will be giving the Millennium speech at the party, Shuri said indignantly, wondering if she was jealous of Tony Stark. Shuri had reason to be jealous of Tony. After all, she was also at an age where she loved to show off, but because of her background, even though she possessed a genius mind comparable to Tony's, and even had high-tech inventions, she wasn't allowed to show it in public. In fact, Shuri had already joined the ranks of top scientists like Howard and had her own dedicated research laboratory at the Wakanda Research Center. As Shuri continued to narrate, Wang Yunxiao learned that the invitation in his hand was indeed obtained by Tony, and at Shuri's insistence. Wait, Wang Yunxiao took a closer look at the invitation. Switzerland, Nepal. This finally reminded him of something. Wasn't this the scene where Tony first met Dr. Killian, who later developed the extremis virus but was still a poor loser? That same evening, Tony had once again harmed a naive, innocent woman, Maya Hansen, the future key researcher in the development of the extremis virus. Wang Yunxiao's interest was piqued at the thought, as he'd been feeling rather bored lately. Does this mean my ban is finally lifted? Wang Yunxiao's eyes lit up as he thought of something else, and he asked with a touch of surprise. Well, Wang Yunxiao felt a bit embarrassed to behave like that in front of a young girl, but he couldn't care less at that moment. He knew all too well, having watched Surui grow up, that the girls were incredibly fond of her. It wasn't surprising that their ban was lifted because of this incident. It's just that my ban has been lifted. The sisters all agreed to let you take me to the party, but, Surui said with a grin, then a thought struck her, and a seductive blush crept onto her cheeks. Well, it's not bad to be able to resolve the house arrest order. Wang Yunxiao could only pretend not to notice Surui's strange behavior. Although lolly and other things are also good, they are really too evil. Brother Yunxiao, how are you going to thank me? Surui asked again in a naive way, with a pair of bright big eyes blinking and sparkling. Is this enough? Wang Yunxiao kissed Surui's little face lightly and asked with a smile. Brother Yunxiao, you are so annoying. Surui shyly rewarded Wang Yunxiao with 2 pink fists and ran away. Wang Yunxiao laughed dumbly, but his heart was inexplicably restless. Speaking of which, he has been living like an ascetic for quite some time. However, when the evening arrived, Wang Yunxiao was disheartened to find himself once again shut out by the women. Brother Yunxiao, that cocky guy's over there. Look, he's flirting with women again. Surui, holding Wang Yunxiao's arm, walked into the bustling banquet hall, immediately spotting one of the evening's main characters, Tony, frolicking with a naive young woman. Well, even though they brought Surui to this tech gathering, they still missed Tony's millennium speech. Wang Yunxiao had been toying with the little girl all day, and inevitably, he was late. Let's go over and say hello, Wang Yunxiao said, shaking his head in amusement, striding towards Tony with Surui. Speaking of which, he hadn't had a proper heart-to-heart with his godson since he was grounded by the women. What Wang Yunxiao didn't know was that his godson hadn't wanted to talk to him at all. Sir, Mr. Wang and Miss Surui are here. Mr. Happy, the bodyguard who had always been guarding Tony, was the first to notice the two and quickly alerted Tony. Godfather? Has he finally been released? Tony was slightly surprised and subconsciously muttered venomously. Wang Yunxiao's face darkened at this. If the occasion hadn't been wrong, he would have let Tony experience the majesty of the Godfather again. Oh, my dear Godfather, it's been a long time since we last met. Tony opened his arms and hugged Wang Yunxiao warmly. Yes, it's been a long time since we last had a good talk, Wang Yunxiao whispered in Tony's ear with a half-smile. Oh, can I say this is all a misunderstanding? Tony's body stiffened slightly, 2 drops of cold sweat instantly sliding down his forehead, and he chuckled a little awkwardly. He knew very well that his venomous words had definitely not escaped Wang Yunxiao's ears. Forget it tonight. We'll find another opportunity to talk it over. Wang Yunxiao, not wanting to miss out on tonight's fun, decided to jot this down in his notebook and settle it later. Tony breathed a sigh of relief, then glanced discreetly at his prey, secretly delighted that tonight, this monumental century-ending day, would be another wonderful evening. Hey, crazy girl, you're here too. However, Tony didn't dare to provoke his unsatisfied godfather any further, and quickly turned his attention to Surui. You cocky bastard, don't get so cocky, Surui glared at him, threateningly. Crazy girl, that was truly annoying. Really? Don't forget the terms you promised me. Tony's expression grew even more complacent. You, humph, Surui snorted softly, her face etched with displeasure, but she stilled her temper. But what secret deal had these 2 little brats struck? Crazy girl, did you listen to my speech just now? How was it? Tony, clearly not about to let Surui off, asked smugly. Sorry, we just got here and didn't hear it. Surui rolled her eyes, but couldn't help but retort. Alright, both of you, cut the slack. Stop arguing like fighting cocks every time we meet. Seeing Tony about to say something else, Wang Yunxiao stopped him speechlessly. Honestly, Surui not only possessed a genius mind comparable to Tony's, but was also equally eloquent. If the two of them got into a heated argument, it would have devolved into a battle of the ages. Tony, your speech just now was fantastic. Can you sign my autograph? Just then, a young fanboy, seemingly out of nowhere, excitedly squeezed over. Of course, Tony, usually quite impatient with such things, now showed great enthusiasm. He took the fanboy's pen and quickly signed his name, giving Surui a smug look. HMPH, Surui snorted and turned away angrily. Wang Yunxiao was speechless at this. He really couldn't understand why two such smart people would always make it like Mars hitting the Earth every time they met. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 396 Disaster. Maya Hansen, a lady of both beauty and wisdom. After sending the young fanboy away, Tony introduced Maya Hansen, who had been staring at him eagerly, to Wang Yunxiao and Surui. Hello. I'm Wang Yunxiao, Tony's godfather, Wang Yunxiao said, smiling and nodding at Maya. Hello. Maya was visibly taken aback at this, a flicker of disbelief in her eyes before hurriedly greeting Wang Yunxiao. My dear, don't be fooled by his youth, he's actually already in his 70s or 80s, haha, Tony joked, trying to ease Maya's embarrassment. Little did he know, the more he said this, the more surprised Maya was. And this one, a genius no less capable than myself, Surui. Tony quickly realized his mistake and quickly changed the subject to introduce Surui. His praise was genuine, but he also didn't forget to boast. That was just his nature. Hello, the two women exchanged a brief handshake. One looked down on the silly woman who was so captivated by Tony that she lost her bearings, while the other was clearly distracted, perhaps still marveling at Wang Yunxiao's youth. Neither man paid any attention, they could still distinguish between close and distant friends. Before the four could even get a few words in, they were constantly interrupted by people approaching Tony to greet him and try to make friends, completely disrupting their conversation. It couldn't be helped. Tony was the center of attention at the gathering, a world-renowned celebrity, renowned for his enduring playboy image and brilliant mind. Relatively speaking, no one could truly recognize Wang Yunxiao, and such a person would be unlikely to attend such a gathering. However, among these people, there was one, Dr. Wu, a cardiologist from the ancient East, who caught Wang Yunxiao's attention. He was the future doctor who'd heal the massive hole in Tony's chest. Never mind, it's getting late. Let's go back and rest. Tired of being interrupted, Wang Yunxiao gave up and prepared to leave with Surui. This kind of party was indeed quite boring. As for Surui, she might have been quite interested, but now, all interest was gone. It's just right. We're leaving too. Let's go together, Tony shrugged, pulling Maya along with Wang Yunxiao and Surui. Mr. Stark, the four of them reached the elevator and, while waiting for the ride, suddenly heard someone calling Tony's name. This wasn't surprising, after all, Tony had been approached by many people all evening to greet him and try to make friends. However, when they turned around, they were still surprised by the scruffy guy before them. Now, even such a poor loser was trying to make friends with Tony? Hello, Mr. Stark. I'm Aldrich Killian, a huge fan of your research project, Killian introduced himself excitedly. My research? I have to admit, I have a lot of research, and I have even more fans, Tony shrugged, rather cockily. Hey, cocky guy, I think I'm talking about the guy next to you, Surui, however, saw something and naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to smack Tony. Oh, sorry, Tony's face darkened. If anyone else had said that, he might not have taken it to heart, but it was Surui who said it. Ding. Just then, the elevator finally landed on this floor, and Tony immediately pulled Maya inside. Ms. Hansen, we've been following your research since your sophomore year at MIT. As he spoke, Killian squeezed into the elevator. Excuse me, sir, the elevator's full. You should wait for the next one. Happy, understanding Tony's intentions, naturally stopped Killian from entering. Unexpectedly, Killian was quite agile, ducking under Happy's outstretched arm and slipping into the elevator. Wow, you're really good. You even managed to get in. Which floor are you going to, man? Happy was helpless, and could only continue to harass Killian, hoping to prevent him from chatting up Maya again. You asked the right question. This slang also means ground floor and early investors. Actually, I'm here to invest. I have a proposal. Killian, however, was very good at seizing opportunities and redirected the conversation to the purpose of his visit, albeit a bit abruptly. Ms. Hansen, I've personally raised funds to establish a think tank called Advanced Creative Technologies, Killian said, handing over 2 business cards. Give her both. Fine, throw one away and let the other gather dust, Tony said sarcastically, showing no intention of accepting the cards. He was a vindictive person, especially after losing face in front of Shuri. Come on, Tony. Maya glared at Tony, politely accepting the 2 cards and handing one to him. Advanced Creative Technologies, or AIM for short. Ms. Hansen, please remember that name, Killian emphasized again, as if his company was destined for greatness, a testament to his immense self-confidence. I see, isn't it written right on your t-shirt? Advertising yourself? I have to say, you're quite creative, Tony said sarcastically. Ding. Before Killian could say anything else, the elevator had already reached the floor, and everyone exited. Hey, man, maybe we can work together. Seeing Killian still planning to pester Maya and chase him out of the elevator, Tony suppressed his impatience and stopped him, saying seriously. Really, Killian was genuinely intimidated by you. Of course. Joker, I'll be at the top floor with you in 5 minutes, Tony said, pressing the elevator button for the top floor. You understand me, he emphasized again, finally exiting the elevator. Okay, Mr. Stark, see you on the rooftop. Killian actually believed Tony, shouting to him as he let the elevator take him to the top floor. In reality, Killian wasn't naive, having been easily fooled by Tony. It was simply that he desperately wanted Tony to truly partner with him. He had poured his entire life and fortune into this cutting-edge, creative technology, and it needed a significant infusion of capital. See you then, Tony casually replied, but his heart was already with Maya. However, Tony could never have imagined that Killian would actually believe his lies and wait for him on the rooftop all night. Even less could Tony have imagined that, in the biting cold wind, Killian would make a decision that would sow the seeds of disaster for him in the future. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 397, Sokovia Tragedy. Brother Yunxiao, do you think Tony will really go meet that Killian? Surui suddenly asked after returning to the presidential suite Tony had reserved for them. What do you think? Wang Yunxiao was stunned by the question, then burst into laughter and asked back. Absolutely not. That arrogant guy is just playing tricks on me, Surui replied without hesitation. It's just that Tony couldn't have imagined that he'd actually run into someone so honest this time. Wang Yunxiao shrugged and said with a sigh. Brother Yunxiao, are you saying that the unlucky guy will keep waiting? Surui's interest was immediately rekindled. Perhaps. Just looking at the guy's attire, it's easy to tell that his cutting-edge technology must be in great need of financial support. Although Wang Yunxiao didn't say anything else, the meaning was clear. That's too much? That arrogant Tony is really going too far. Upon hearing this, Surui was immediately indignant. It wasn't that she had any sympathy for Killian, but rather her usual antagonism towards Tony. Okay, you should go to bed early too. You've been crazy all day. Wang Yunxiao, unwilling to dwell on this matter, began urging Surui to rest. There was no other way. The little girl hadn't been transformed into a zombie yet, she was just a perfectly normal human being. I'm going to go online some more. I have an appointment with a friend. Unfortunately, Wang Yunxiao had underestimated Surui's energy. She was so excitedly opening her computer, how could she be tired at all? Don't stay up too late, or I won't take you out tomorrow. Wang Yunxiao had no choice but to give Surui one more warning before leaving the little girl's room. Wang Yunxiao knew, of course, that the friends the little girl was talking about were a group of the world's top hackers. He just wondered which country's servers would be in trouble tonight. Perhaps it was because he hadn't been out and about in a while, which made Wang Yunxiao feel particularly relaxed, and he slept until noon. That's too much? Those damned guys are really going too far. Just as Wang Yunxiao, after a quick wash, was about to wake Surui up for breakfast, he heard the little girl hurling curses. What's wrong? Who's angered our little princess again? Wang Yunxiao shook his head in amusement, pushed open Surui's door, and asked with a smile. Brother Yunxiao, you don't know, the US and the UK are really going too far. They're secretly supporting reactionary forces in some small countries in launching a coup. Upon seeing Wang Yunxiao, Surui felt like he had found his backbone, and he angrily denounced the major powers. Yes, they are indeed going too far. Wang Yunxiao's response was perfunctory, and he didn't care at all. He had known the behavior of those major powers for a long time. However, this also made Wang Yunxiao realize that Surui and her friends must have hacked into the server of a US department last night. It's easy to imagine that someone must be in a state of panic right now. Brother Yunxiao, can you please be serious? Just yesterday, all of Sokovia was reduced to ruins. Countless innocent people were left homeless, some even lost family and friends, Surui, naturally hearing the perfunctory tone in Wang Yunxiao's words, murmured in dissatisfaction. Wait, what did you say? Wang Yunxiao had been trying to play along, but then he was startled and eagerly confirmed. Sokovia, what's going on? Surui, startled by Wang Yunxiao's eager tone, quickly replied, ignoring her own lingering frustration. It was there. Girl, tell me quickly, what exactly happened? Wang Yunxiao muttered, a thought suddenly dawning on her mind, or more accurately, a name, and she asked earnestly. Oh, okay, here's what happened. Surui also grew serious, recounting the entire story. It turned out that last night, Surui had gathered a group of friends, hacked into the server of a secret US agency, and uncovered a shocking secret. For a long time, the US and the UK have been covertly supporting anti-government groups in smaller European and African nations under various pretexts. Sokovia, a landlocked, mountainous, impoverished, and unstable nation in Eastern Europe, bordering Slovakia and the Czech Republic, holds a strategic position and has become one of their targets. Yet, just yesterday, on the last day of the new century, as the world celebrated the arrival of the new millennium, anti-government groups in Sokovia, instigated by the US and the UK, launched a brazen rebellion, reducing the entire country to scorched earth. This is the profound secret Shuri and her companions have uncovered, but Wang Yunxiao knows more. Sokovia's rebellion is only the beginning. This tragic nation will be plunged into instability for a long time to come. It is precisely because of this that Hydra has the opportunity to send agents to Sokovia under the guise of SHIELD peacekeeping forces. After this, Baron Stryker, one of Hydra's leaders, built a secret fortress in Sokovia, which served as one of Hydra's main bases. Even later, when Baron Stryker obtained the Mind Stone, one of the Infinity Stones from Loki's scepter, he conducted research on it in the secret fortress in Sokovia. Girl, pack up. We need to move. After hearing Surui's story, Wang Yunxiao made a decision without hesitation. Huh? Where are we going? Surui, still immersed in the tragedy of Sokovia, was taken aback by Wang Yunxiao's words, and for a moment, he couldn't grasp what he meant. Sokovia, Wang Yunxiao enunciated the name word by word, a strange glint in his eyes. What are we going there for? Surui was even more confused. It wasn't her fault. After all, in her mind, while Wang Yunxiao wasn't cold and heartless, he wasn't one for overindulging in kindness either. The events in Sokovia were a tragedy, yes, but not enough to concern Wang Yunxiao enough to warrant a special trip. We're going to rescue a poor child. You must take good care of her from now on, Wang Yunxiao whispered softly, his eyes gleaming ever more intensely. Not bad. Wang Yunxiao's target was none other than the future Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. She was destined to become an Omega-level mutant, one who mastered chaos magic. Of course, all this assumed the original storyline remained unchanged, allowing Wang Yunxiao to find this future Scarlet Witch and recruit her into his fold. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 398 Search. And so, Wang Yunxiao and Shuri ended their brief trip to Nepal and hurried to Sokovia. While this was all a matter of chance, it was also Wang Yunxiao's luck. Otherwise, with countless small nations like Sokovia across Europe and Africa, and rebellions erupting almost daily, how could Shuri have even noticed? However, while Wang Yunxiao rushed Shuri to Sokovia immediately, he didn't harbor high hopes. Logically, Wang Yunxiao, familiar with the original storyline, shouldn't have entertained such a thought. So why did this happen? The original storyline regarding Scarlet Witch Wanda Maximoff had undergone significant deviations. Pietro Maximoff, who was supposed to be her twin brother, Quicksilver, was now a member of the Brotherhood of Mutants, serving alongside their father, Magneto, Eric Lensher. But even if the chances were slim, Wang Yunxiao couldn't pass up this opportunity. He even used teleportation to travel directly to Sokovia. Sokovia, at that moment, lay in ruins. Flames still lingered on many of the shattered walls, smoke and dust obscuring the sky, shrouding the city in darkness. Unexploded missiles lay scattered among the ruins, creating a truly dangerous situation. It's no wonder that neither the Sokovian government nor the rebels dared to linger. Sure enough, those missiles were developed by that arrogant Tony. I wonder what he'd think if he saw this, Shuri muttered, curling his lips in dissatisfaction. It was understandable, as the unexploded missiles bore the inscription Stark Industries. Of course, Shuri knew none of this was Tony's fault. After all, Tony was just a weapons developer. Just because the rebels used Stark Industries weapons doesn't mean they should be blamed for everything, right? It's like a court in a murder trial wouldn't simply convict the weapons maker without knowing the facts. Furthermore, according to intelligence Shuri and her allies obtained from a secret U.S. agency's server, the Sokovian rebels have been secretly supported by the U.S. and the U.K. There's no guarantee that these Stark Industries weapons weren't officially funded by the U.S. But even if the Sokovian rebels didn't receive official U.S. support, they could easily have purchased the Stark Industries weapons on the black market if they had the money. Stark Industries weapons are always a hot commodity on the black market. Wang Yunxiao ignored Shuri's nagging and immediately activated all 5 senses, searching every ruin in Sokovia for any trace of Wanda Maximoff, the future Scarlet Witch. But there was one thing: the rebellion had just begun. The number of survivors buried beneath the rubble wasn't huge, but it was definitely not small. Using only the 5 senses, it was clearly impossible to discern who was who. He couldn't possibly rescue everyone, could he? Perhaps Wang Yunxiao could do it, but he wouldn't do it, lest it attract attention and cause unnecessary trouble. Girl, contact Emma and have her come over as soon as possible. Wang Yunxiao, thinking of Emma, who possessed psychic abilities, immediately addressed Surui. Oh, Surui replied reluctantly, but knowing the importance of the matter, she contacted Emma immediately. Surui's reaction wasn't due to her relationship with Emma, on the contrary, they were the closest of the girls. But Emma's mischievousness was no less than Wang Yunxiao's. Whenever they got into a fight, she was always the one who got into trouble. Soon, a dazzling multicolored portal appeared before Wang Yunxiao, and Emma and Clarice emerged one after the other. The 2 girls had already heard Surui mention this situation, and were mentally prepared, so they didn't react too strongly. Moreover, having seen enough of the darkness of this world, what they were seeing was nothing more than a minor incident. Brother Yunxiao, why did you ask me to come? You don't know, I'm very busy, Emma said with a feigned pride, but her bright eyes revealed her excitement. Tisk, Surui curled his lips in disdain, naturally sensing Emma's insincerity. Little Surui, what's with that expression? Although Surui was trying to be discreet, Emma couldn't escape her telepathy. She immediately jumped in front of the little girl and pinched her cheek. Now, having ascended to the status of Zombie King, Emma is a true Omega-level warrior, even without actively using her psychic abilities. Even without actively using her psychic abilities, she can easily sense others' emotions. It hurts, Emma, let me go. Surui immediately obeyed her heart. Countless bitter lessons had taught her that if she dared to be stubborn at this moment, she would only suffer even more misfortune. Puff. This made Clarice smile. She had witnessed this scene many times, but every time, it always brought a sense of inexplicable amusement. There was no way around it, the little girl had always been the star of the show. Alright, stop messing around and get down to business, Wang Yunxiao glared at Emma. HMPH, Surui, you're lucky this time, Emma snorted, finally releasing Shurui's small face. Dear, use your psychic abilities to sense if there's a mutant girl here, Wang Yunxiao addressed Emma without further ado. Or maybe, she hasn't awakened her mutant powers yet. Her name is Wanda Maximoff. After thinking for a while, Wang Yunxiao added and gave a general description of Wanda's situation. Leave it to me, Emma smiled confidently, and her psychic power immediately spread out, covering the entire Sokovia in the blink of an eye. Brother Yunxiao, how do you know this little girl named Wanda? Surui rolled his eyes and asked with pretended curiosity. Although Clarice didn't ask anything, she also cast a strange look. As for Emma, although she is using her psychic power to sense the specific situation of every lucky survivor in the ruins of Sokovia, she must have also paid attention to this side. Well, it seems that Wang Yunxiao's Lolita control image has already penetrated into the hearts of the girls. 4 updates are available today, please collect, recommend, and vote. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399 Joy and Surprise. As you know, I've always been following the 2 major mutant factions, the X-Men and the Brotherhood. This little girl named Wanda Maximoff is the daughter of the Brotherhood's leader, Eric Lenscher, known as Magneto, and a half-sister of Pietro Maximoff, Known as Quicksilver, Wang Yunxiao was frustrated by the three women's perception of him as a Lolita, but he still had to explain, trying his best to smooth things over. Is that so? Surui's face was filled with suspicion, clearly disbelieving Wang Yunxiao. Hey, what's with that look on your face? Wang Yunxiao was furious. Although he wanted to shout, I'm not a Lolita, he strangely didn't have the confidence. Why? Okay, don't be angry. I believe you, Surui said, as if realizing he'd been too obvious. Wang Yunxiao was speechless. Well, being comforted by such a little girl really left him speechless. Puff. Clarice couldn't contain her laughter any longer, bursting out in laughter. Wang Yunxiao simply ignored the two women. They wouldn't believe anything he said now, anyway. However, he mentally made a note of this, determined to show them how powerful he was someday. Something seems off. As he thought this, Wang Yunxiao's gaze subconsciously fell on Surui's youthful, vibrant body. I'm really not a Lolita complex, Wang Yunxiao could only mentally reassure himself. Brother Yunxiao, are we going to all this trouble to save her just because she's Magneto's daughter? Seeing that Wang Yunxiao seemed to be ignoring him, Surui quickly brought the topic back up, asking sweetly. That's for a reason. Think about it, as long as she's around, we might be able to recruit Eric and his brotherhood into our side. Would that also be beneficial to Emma's Mutant Eden project? Wang Yunxiao said sternly, not forgetting to flatter Emma. Ever since the women jointly issued a ban on him, Wang Yunxiao had been trying to be nice and cozy with them whenever he could. As the saying goes, divide and conquer, dismantling the enemy from within is the truest strategy. Unfortunately, Emma knew Wang Yunxiao intimately and easily saw through his plot, not even bothering to react. Okay, I admit, I'm impressed by her potential. Honestly, that old man Eric has quite good genes. Whether it's Quicksilver or Polaris, their future growth will be at least alpha level. Seeing that his flattery was completely unnoticed by Emma, Wang Yunxiao had no choice but to reveal his deeper motives. To be too shocking, Wang Yunxiao didn't reveal that Wanda's potential was far more than alpha level, even Omega might not be her limit. After all, the chaos magic she wields is a level of power superior to both white and black magic. The fully grown Scarlet Witch will undoubtedly be one of the Avengers' strongest forces. And who is Polaris? Shuri asked curiously. Lorna Dane, Eric's daughter, has perfectly inherited his X gene and is also capable of manipulating magnetic fields. Unfortunately, this is all the information I have so far. Wang Yunxiao briefly explained the situation surrounding Polaris, then sighed with regret. Brother Yunxiao, you're absolutely right. That Magneto's genes are truly powerful. After hearing Wang Yunxiao's account, Shurui was also deeply impressed by Magneto's genetics. Clarice didn't say anything, but her astonished expression revealed her shared conviction. So, as Eric's daughter, I believe Wanda Maximoff's potential is no less, Wang Yunxiao emphasized. We've found it, however. Before Wang Yunxiao could finish his words, Emma's slightly surprised exclamation captured the attention of the three. Really? Wang Yunxiao blurted out. It wasn't that he didn't believe Emma, but rather that the surprise came so unexpectedly. He and Shurui had just chatted for so long, a considerable amount of time had passed. Wasn't he distracting himself, and at the same time, losing hope? Where is she, then? Without Emma needing a reply, Wang Yunxiao asked impatiently. Follow me. Emma didn't seem to mind Wang Yunxiao's loss of composure. His repeated emphasis on Wanda's potential clearly showed how much he valued her. He immediately strode in one direction. Wang Yunxiao and the other two naturally followed. Soon, the four of them arrived at a ruined area outside Sokovia. What caught their attention even more was a large missile, seemingly unexploded, slanted across the ruins. Sister Emma, aren't you trying to tell us that Wanda is underneath this missile? Shurui couldn't help but exclaim, following Emma's gaze. Correct, but unfortunately there's no reward. Seeing Wang Yunxiao and the other two also stunned and confused, Emma instinctively cracked a joke, hoping to lighten the tension. After all, wasn't she feeling the same way? Unfortunately, Emma's joke didn't seem to have any effect. Wang Yunxiao and the other two looked at each other, each marveling at Wanda's good fortune. Well, we should get this lucky little girl out as soon as possible. From what I understand, she hasn't awakened her mutant powers yet. She's just an ordinary little girl. She's been trapped down here for nearly a day and a night, and her condition is absolutely terrible. Emma let out a long breath, dropping her joking expression. Okay, Wang Yunxiao nodded, striding forward to move the missile out of the way. Wait? Brother Yunxiao, let me check it first. Missiles like this have automatic triggering and detonation devices. If you're not careful, it will explode. Su Rui quickly stopped Wang Yunxiao and said seriously. Well, okay, be careful. After a slight hesitation, Wang Yunxiao nodded in agreement, but also reminded Su Rui. In fact, if Wang Yunxiao wanted to move the missile without detonating it, there was no need to go through so much trouble. He could just put it in his personal space and it would be easy to do. However, doing so would hardly leave a deep impression on Wanda. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 400 It's Your Own Fault? Even as Wang Yunxiao hesitated over whether to allow Shuri to disable the missile's automatic trigger, his mind was receiving Emma's message. According to Emma's telepathy, Wanda Maximoff's condition was dire, her heart consumed by panic and fear, but her intense desire to survive kept her in the loop. This meant that the arrival of Wang Yunxiao and his 3 companions, and everything they did thereafter, would be within her reach. This reality also solidified Wang Yunxiao's resolve to make the rescue process more difficult and leave a deeper impression on Wanda. While waving the missile away from his pocket was a simple task for Wang Yunxiao and would earn Wanda's gratitude, it certainly wouldn't leave a lasting impression. Wang Yunxiao's purpose today wasn't simply to rescue Wanda, he wanted to secure her for his own benefit. And for a sensitive girl like Wanda, nothing could be a better start than a lasting impression. Don't worry, it's not that difficult. Su Rui smiled confidently at Wang Yunxiao's concern, and immediately pulled out her precious supercomputer and a small detector-like device from her bag. Beep, beep. After a simple operation, the detector emitted a series of infrared detection beams, and the next moment, a piercing alarm sounded. Crackle. Su Rui's fingers flew across the keyboard, and the alarm soon ceased. Done. After closing the supercomputer, Su Rui raised her head proudly. Okay, Wang Yunxiao nodded slightly, pretending to be serious, and slowly approached the missile. Brother Yunxiao, be careful. Perhaps Wang Yunxiao's performance was too realistic, but Su Rui's previous pride was gone. Nervousness filled her face, and she stared at his back, mumbling non-stop. Perhaps this was because the little girl hadn't yet been transformed into a zombie, and she was still thinking from an ordinary person's perspective. As for Emma and Clarice, well, they weren't nervous at all, because they knew that even if the missile did detonate, Wang Yunxiao would be able to protect them safely in the nick of time. Up, Wang Yunxiao reached over to the missile, bent down, reached out, and supported the lower part of the missile. With a soft shout, he lifted it up. While he had tracked perfectly, he couldn't overdo it. He knew how to strike that perfect balance. It's okay, it's all over, Wang Yunxiao said softly, offering a warm smile to the young girl who had finally seen the light of day. Wow, Wanda fought back the urge to burst into tears, but her eyes were already welling with tears. She stared at Wang Yunxiao, stunned, feeling his smile was so warm, like the warmth of sunlight. But she, strong and independent since childhood, managed to maintain a last bit of composure. Not good. Suddenly, Wang Yunxiao's expression changed slightly, veins bulging in his arms. With a powerful upward thrust, he sent the missile flying far away. The next moment, Wang Yunxiao once again held Wanda tightly in his arms. This series of events unfolded in a flash. Boom! Before Wanda could react, what had just happened? A deafening roar echoed, followed by a massive surge of air and heat. Even within Wang Yunxiao's embrace, she could clearly feel it. Wanda's body stiffened, her entire body tense. She had never felt so close to death. Not even when she was pinned beneath a missile poised to explode at any moment. It's okay, it's all over, hearing the gentle, soothing voice beside her. Feeling the warmth of a large hand caressing her back, Wanda's tense body finally relaxed. Then came a dizzying, powerless feeling. Woo woo woo. At that moment, Wanda could no longer suppress her fear, sobbing softly. Wow, under Wang Yunxiao's gentle caress, her soft sobs turned into full-throated tears. Wanda seemed to want to let out all the fear and terror she had endured for the past day and night. And before she knew it, Wanda had imprinted this warm feeling deep within her heart. Not far away, Su Rui stared blankly at Wang Yunxiao's tall figure, her eyes shimmering with a complex mix of fear, relief, and regret. She couldn't understand why the missile had suddenly exploded, having already disabled its automatic trigger. It was a blessing in disguise that Wang Yunxiao was so powerful, otherwise, wouldn't his own mistake have led to such a catastrophic outcome? Well, the little girl was just too naive. It was hard for her to imagine that with Wang Yunxiao's strength, detonating the missile through external force would be a simple task. Hey, little Surui, what are you thinking about? Emma quickly noticed Surui's annoyance and asked with concern. Surui hesitated, subconsciously glancing in the direction of the explosion. A mist unconsciously clouded her bright eyes. What are you thinking? Trust me, sister. This has nothing to do with you. Have faith in yourself. Emma, torn between laughter and tears, hurried to comfort Surui, while also deliberately glaring at Wang Yunxiao. It has nothing to do with me, Surui muttered, clearly still in shock. But then, seeing Emma's glare at Wang Yunxiao, her brilliant mind instantly understood everything. Huh? You rascal, how dare you? Surui wiped the tears from her eyes and glared at Wang Yunxiao angrily. Emma gestured to silence Surui's complaints. When we get back, tell Sister Mary, Sister Selena, and Sister Ada about this. Let them deal with him together, Emma whispered close to Surui's ear, finishing with a playful wink. Wang Yunxiao, who was hugging Wanda tightly while the little girl was still venting her anger in his arms, stiffened noticeably, and a wry smile appeared on his face. Emma's provocative voice naturally did not escape his ears. Yet, Surui nodded heavily, and the ferocious look he gave Wang Yunxiao made him feel even more fierce. This made Wang Yunxiao feel like a thorn in his side, and he felt bitter. He knew that he would have to suffer after he returned. Is this what he deserved? Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.